she's
Democrats.
As a to maintain a high quality of life for all citizens through sound fiscal management and legislative actions. In an ongoing effort to increase transparency, your Board of Supervisors holds public meetings to garner citizen input before making important decisions. Here's tonight's meeting agenda. Stay tuned. The Board of Supervisors meeting will begin shortly.
Good evening. I'd like to call the James City Service Authority Board of Directors regular meeting to order. Mr. Powell, will you call the roll?
Good evening. Ms. Wainwright.
Here.
Mr. Eisenhower.
Here.
Ms. Larson.
Here.
Mr. McGlennon.
Here.
And Ms. Knoll.
Here. Do we have any public comment tonight, sir?
No, ma'am.
No. On tonight's consent calendar consists of the following items: minutes adoption. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Mr. Roll.
Ms. Wainwright.
Yeah.
Mr. Eisenhower.
Aye.
Ms. Larson.
Aye.
Mr. McGlennon.
Aye.
Ms. Knoll.
Aye. Any public hearings, sir?
No, ma'am.
Board considerations? No. Seeing none. Board requests and directives?
I would just, one thing, and this is actually in Ms. Knoll's district, but I did receive a call about the work that's going on in Lake Toano.
Yes.
There was a question regarding the roads, if they would be paved after the work was done, which you said they would be. So I just
Yes.
want to acknowledge that.
Yeah, that is part of the scope of work. We currently project that will occur in March.
Thank you.
If I could just mention that, Mr. Powell, I appreciate the letter that you've distributed to the residents of the Kings Point neighborhood, informing them of the project to replace their aging infrastructure and to provide opportunities for people who are not currently connected to public water and sewer to do so. I appreciate your efforts in that regard. Have you gotten any feedback from folks there?
I've not gotten any responses to that so far. I have spoken to one resident prior to the letter going out who thought there would be a fair amount of interest in the information about particularly folks who are on septic and may want to connect to public sewer.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I read that letter. It was excellent. Thank you. Appreciate that. It stopped some of the phone calls.
And just one follow-up. I just want to thank you and everyone on your team. We had a water breakout at First Colony when it was cold, during the holidays, and it was very quickly taken care of. I know we have a lot of those sometimes and come out at night, have to work a very long night and day, and it's appreciated. And then just take a moment to congratulate Ms. Knoll as the chair of JCSA this year and Ms. Wainwright as vice chair. So thank you.
General manager's update, sir.
I have no further report.
30 a.m. on January 27th, 2026 for the Board of Directors retreat at JCSA Operations Center on Twinning Road.
So moved.
Ms. Wainwright, Mr. Eisenhower,
Aye.
Ms. Larson,
Aye.
Mr. Glennon,
Aye.
and Ms. Knoll.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Sir.
Let me call this meeting of the James City County Board of Supervisors to order for the purpose of a regular meeting. First, let me ask if Mr. Stevens would call the roll.
Yes, sir. Ms. Wainwright? Ms. Wainwright represents the Palatine District. Ms. Knoll?
Present.
Ms. Knoll represents the Stonehouse District. Mr. Eisenhower?
Here.
Mr. Eisenhower represents the Jamestown District. Ms. Larson?
Here.
Ms. Larson represents the Berkeley District and is Vice Chair of the Board. Mr. McGlennon?
Here.
Mr. McGlennon represents the Jamestown District and is Roberts District and is Chair of the Board. Sitting to my far left is Adam Kinsman, County Attorney, and I'm Scott Stevens, County Administrator.
Okay. Thank you very much. Normally, we begin our meetings with the moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and we will do that today. Today, we're going to ask Sandy Towers, who is the Director of the Williamsburg Regional Library, to lead us in the pledge after a moment of silence. And thank you very much, Ms. Towers, for being here tonight to do that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We normally ask a young person in the community to undertake that task, but we are very fortunate that the director of our premier library system was available to do that for us this evening. Okay. The next section of our agenda is public comment, and let me go ahead and ask for the individuals who have requested time to speak to be prepared to join us. First is Donnie McDaniel. Ms. McDaniel, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself with your address for the record. I'm sorry? Yes, just for the record.
But you meant my mailing address.
That's fine.
Hi, Donnie McDaniel, Executive Director for Community of Faith Mission. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm just here. I promise I will not turn into Ed Oyer and be here every month to harass you. But I did want to just give you an update as the shelter is proceeding. As you know, I am the Director of the Emergency Shelter Program for the Greater Williamsburg area. And so just to give you an update, we've had 85 different individuals come through our shelter so far. Of those individuals, 45% of them are James City County residents. 37%, 45% is James City County, 16% are the City of Williamsburg, and 2% were Upper York County. That consists of the Greater Williamsburg area. We did have 37% of the people are from either out of this immediate area or out of state. And so out of those, though, because of our program, I've talked to you about our Heads Up program. It's a brand new initiative that we took on. That is to help people with either housing or diversion, because many of the people land here and they have no way of getting back home. They want to get back home to support. And so out of that, what's great about that is 35% of the people that are from out of this area, because of our program, we've been able to get them back to their home. So I thought that was great. And then out of the people that we have, 27 have been female, 58 are male. Under the age of 18, there were 2. Between the ages of 18 and 25, there were 2. 62 of our guests have been between the age of 26 and 59. There have been 17 that are over 60. So as you see, a huge chunk of our people are between 18 and 59. 26 and 59. The reason I bring that up is because as you make decisions, as you talk to the state and federal and things like that, I just wanted you to know they have many programs for families. They have many programs for people over 60, but there's really nothing for people. And James City County even had some funding for 18 to 25-year-olds, but there's nothing for people 26 to 59 to help them. So they just wind up on the street. So as you're thinking and looking, please consider that when you're talking to people about housing or mental health or education or job, relearning a new job. Let's see. I told you about the Heads Up program. So out of the 85, 29 of the people actually signed up for a Heads Up. We do have requirements, and they really are willing to do the work. 4 of them had to be taken off the program because they weren't willing to do the work. 19 of the people are working with the criteria and goals for housing. And as I shared with you, a total of 11 people are being diverted. 2 are still on the waiting list. They're waiting for a probation officer to give them the okay to move, things like that. I want to just thank you, James City County, to Social Services. They have come into our shelter and they've agreed to come in for 8 different visits to help with life skills. So I'm just very appreciative of that. We also have volunteers that come in to help with job search, resume writing. But the problem is we don't have any funding for housing. We were blessed with a grant to cover our caseworker, but we still have very little funds to help with the housing. As you know, or maybe you don't know, but when someone's first starting out and they finally get that job and they're working and we're working our program and they're starting a savings account, they just don't have that money for the initial deposit and first month's rent. That's where we come in to help out, but of course we have to have funds to do that. So that's what I ask as I'm working on that wonderful grant that you guys have that wonderful criteria for that's due this Friday. I just ask that you consider that when you're doing your budget and everything. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you guys have a great meeting today.
Thank you very much, Ms. McDaniel. Next, I have Peg Borman.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Stevens, Mr. Purse, Mr. Ronheimer, Mr. Kinsman, and ladies and gentlemen. I'm Peg Borman at 17 Settlers Lane in downtown Lightfoot, and I'm here, yes, to talk a little trash and tell you I missed last month because it was just too cold for me to get out. But I have to say, trash has got me really sad and disappointed right now because I'm appalled at all the trash that you can see beside the roads and the streets. And it seems like it's the worst that I've seen in a long time. And I can't do anything about it, but I hope some of you will be. And I know that there's some of you been out there picking up the trash and trying to clean up some of the roads. I was just told by a gentleman that he's been motivated to do that, and I'm glad to hear that. But I know, and I'm very confident that it's all going to get better because spring is coming, and we're going to be doing our annual cleanup and the annual cleanup for the county, as well as a Great American cleanup. So it is going to get a whole lot better. So, but we will be giving Clean County will be giving their annual report to the board at the business meeting in end of this month. And so we'll give you also after that we will be giving doing a litter index, which is what we call it. It's survey of the county, and we take all day and survey all of the county as far as all the trash that's out there, and that's when we give it back to. I'll give you a report on that at another point as to what the situation is. And I might be fussing at you a little bit, and I might be praising you a little bit, so I'll try to do both. In the meantime, I'm just asking everybody to please take that trash you got, whether it's in your car or whether it's in the back of your pickup or whatever, take it and put it in a trash receptacle and help us to keep James City County clean and beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Borman. And thanks for all the work that you do and your committee does to make the county more beautiful. Jay Everson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jay Everson, 6923 Chancery Lane in Cornell Heritage. Last week, the Planning Commission voted a resolution of appreciation for Scott May, who's leaving the commission. And we we're going to miss him. He's been very involved, particularly on the DRC, and I found him to be very helpful. He's a pretty busy guy, being up at the forensics in Richmond, and they're moving. I guess he's on Chesapeake Bay, and wetlands, and restoring, I guess, the classic cars. So we're going to miss him, and I just thought there would be, I was asked by some of my fellow commissioners to at least put in a good word for him as an appreciation for being on the commission and for all he did. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Everson. Chris Henderson.
All right, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Chris Henderson, 101 Keystone. Want to give a special welcome to our newest member of the Board of Supervisors, Ms. Wainwright. Welcome aboard. Welcome to the hot seat, and hopefully you will find your time on the board and service rewarding. And we thank you for your service. As to all members of the board, we know that your service comes at a great personal sacrifice, and even though we may not agree on many things, we do recognize and appreciate the time and energy and effort that you dedicate on behalf of the citizens of James City County. With that being said, I'm going to renew my call for the start time for our board meetings to be moved to a later hour so that more people who work can actually attend and participate. I know that this evening may be an exception, but there are probably lots of folks here who have requests for funding, and I'm not sure that that's indicative of general public availability and participation. As a part of your meeting, we have a moment of silence, and James City County is fairly unique in that regard, in that other public meetings that I attend with boards of supervisors and city councils, they begin their meetings with an invocation. And I would like to encourage this board to begin the meetings with an invocation, and that we would invite members of our local clergy to offer an invocation at the beginning of each meeting. I think that would set the tone for the meeting, and perhaps remind people that we all have a higher calling and a greater purpose, and although we might disagree, we can do so civilly and respectfully. Next on my list is, again, to talk a little bit about the homeless situation in James City County. I received a call from a gal who worked for me many years ago who found herself in a situation where she was going to be homeless. She had applied for disability, was rejected, had been living with some family, that wasn't working out. She called me in desperation and said, "Chris, can you help me?" And I said, "Of course I will." And I was able to make some short-term arrangements for her, but I told her that absent my ability to adopt her as an adult, that I wasn't able to fully underwrite her housing in perpetuity. So I would ask that the board in this year that it study the homeless situation here in James City County and see what can be done to better serve those in need. The way we treat the least of our citizens reflects on the values that we have, and I think this board and our county value the humanity of all people, and I would encourage us to perhaps look at that situation and let's come up with some creative solutions to deal with it. And that might involve building a facility and having the good folks that were here last month who operate the homeless program at the churches actually operate that facility under some sort of subsidized lease arrangement. So that's another opportunity for us to do something good. I would also like to point out that up at the 199 Richmond Road interchange, where you turn left going towards the Pottery, we need a dual left-hand turn there because now traffic at rush hour is starting to back up onto the through lane on 199. So it would be very helpful to have dual left-hand turn going west on 60 from 199. Currently, it's a single lane. So as you have Mr. Rossi come to your meetings, might be worthwhile mentioning that to him and the perpetual problems at Jamestown Road. There's also a massive pothole on the edge of News Road near Powhatan Secondary, into which I'm constantly driving in my trailer. And so it rattles everything, and I know other people have encountered it. The pothole actually goes into the travel lane, so it's going to become a real hazard. So if something could be done with that, that would be great. We need a crosswalk study, particularly in our urban areas, to see if there are opportunities for additional crosswalks to improve pedestrian safety. I'd also like to ask the county to add a debt ticker to its website so that we can see what the county's debt is as we build this new facility. And let's see. Oh, also speed cameras on Interstate 64. I talked to the county administrator about that. And any update on the 250th would be appreciated. And I'm willing to serve on the Planning Commission as an at-large member.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Those are the cards that I have for public comment. We'll move now to the consent calendar. Consent calendar consists of items that are thought not to be controversial. Tonight, we're going to be voting on 2 items relating to grant awards to the county. If any member of the board wishes to pull an item for further discussion, we can do that. Our first item is a grant award for $37,500 to the James City County Connect program. And the second is a grant award for $191,990 for the Child Abuse and Neglect State Grant, the Kinship Navigation Program. Would any member like to pull an item, or do we have a motion to adopt the consent calendar? Motion to adopt the consent calendar. Mr. Stevens, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower? Aye. Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. We'll now go on to the public hearings. And our first public hearing is the pre-budget public hearing. And I'll call on Sharon McCarthy for staff presentation.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair, members of the board. The purpose of this public hearing is to invite comments and suggestions from our citizens for the upcoming county budget. The comments and suggestions made at this pre-budget public hearing will help guide staff in preparing a budget proposal for the board's consideration and ultimate adoption in May. No board action is requested at this time.
Very much. Tonight we have a number of speakers. The first is Michelle Giesman. I'm sorry. Let me start again. This is all new to me. We first ask if any board member has any questions for staff before we go into the public hearing. If not, then we will begin with Sharon Giesman.
Michelle Giesman.
I'm sorry, Michelle.
That's okay. Michelle Giesman, 3297 North Riverside Drive in Lenexa. I'm a James City County resident and property owner. I appreciate your time and the effort that it takes to review all of the material in order to make wise decisions for our county. I wanted to make a comment tonight because I've been concerned about the large number of projects that have come across, such as the new county government building, new library, etc. And I did not see any referendums put out when those decisions were being considered. And so I would ask that if there are large expenditures that are going to be on the horizon as a taxpayer, that you would please bring it to our attention, that we could have some input on it in form of a referendum or something of the sort, because it affects us all. And when the considerations to paying for these come down to raising our taxes, it affects my household. It affects my children, and I'd like to be considered in that. I appreciate your time and that you do have a lot to consider, but it's a lot of money. And personally, as a resident of this county, I don't want to see us making ourselves go into debt that's going to be paid for by my children, my grandchildren, and their children. So please consider wisely what you're going to spend our tax dollars on in the future. I know you will, but I'm just requesting it publicly, that you take careful consideration, because debt is a noose around our necks, and I don't want to be someone who is living in a state of perpetual debt. So please, please consider carefully. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Charles Colgrove.
evening. Chuck Colgrove, 110 Blackheath, Mr. Chair and members. Just a couple of things. I'd like to echo what Mr. Henderson said about start time. I noticed in your preamble, the recorded preamble, says that you have these meetings for citizen input. Okay, so if I have to get here at 4:30 to sign up before the meeting starts at 5, and I work till 5, I want to go home and see the kids, maybe grab a sandwich. It's hard to get here at a 5 o'clock start time. So please consider, if you want us to help you, help us help you. Okay, by starting later. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing, and I don't want to ask for funds expenditures out of the budget. I want to talk on the money collection side. Okay, the revenue side, and it's very simple. I don't want you to raise my taxes in this budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mike Joseph? Joseph?
Yes, good evening. I'm Mike Joseph, and I live at 6631 Rexford Lane in Williamsburg, of course, 23188. And I'm here to talk about the budget, and I want to specifically focus on the school board. They're working on their budget, and I would like for the Board of Supervisors to support a lot of their budget items, and particularly I want to focus on hiring new teachers, particularly teachers that are going to help to intervene with children that needs spatial attention so they can progress in the grades and become proficient at grade level. So I want to go back and emphasize, and this comes from the Department of Education in Virginia, that we have a program called Elevate 28 program, but it's about academic achievement, college and career readiness, and education equality. Well, this fall, the Department of Education established some new rules about SOL performance levels and growth metrics. And it's really more comprehensive than what we've had before, and we have to reevaluate the schools. And the profile of their analysis came out in December. And Virginia Department of Education is very specific in providing, they're very specific about providing support for underperforming students. This applies especially to schools that are performing below basic SOL levels. And per their profile, a quality profile for 2024 and 2025, one of 16 schools in our system, Jamestown High School, was rated distinguished. And that's very high. That's as high as you can be rated. But then 13 of our 16 schools were rated on track. And one of our 16 schools, Matthew Wally Elementary, was rated off track. And then one of the 16 schools, James River Elementary, was rated as needs intensive support. These particularly two schools need the funding for added personnel to intervene and support these students to progress. And so it's very important to fund this so that we can meet our proficiency goals in the future. So I want to bring that to the attention. And the other thing I would like to bring to attention is we need to fund WJCC school teachers' salary increase to be competitive with the surrounding school districts. We're behind and we need to play catch up. And it's important that we be competitive with our neighbors here. How do we do that? Well, it's about setting priorities within a fixed budget. And so I would suggest that we redirect funds to teacher pay and fiscal support for WJCC programs to improve students' academic proficiency and achieve Elevate 28 goals. It's important, and we read so much about our academic proficiencies nationwide and even locally being subpar. And so we need to do everything to bring that up to be competitive, locally, statewide, nationally, and on a world scale. So we need to fund the school to support that. And it's, like I said, it's about setting priorities within our budget. And so what's at stake is our accreditation. A lot of these rules come from, not locally, but from the Department of Education. And it's about, you look at the details of accreditation, it's in there about how we need to intervene and support and promote the education for all students. And so what's at stake is accreditation and meeting the proficiency levels per Elevate 28, as well as having a school system that we can be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Linda Weiss?
Good evening, Board of Supervisors and Chairman. My name is Linda Wise, and I am a resident and taxpayer living at 6631 Rexford Lane, Williamsburg, 23188. And tonight I'd like to speak with you with several simple requests. The first and very important, declare a tax moratorium, do not increase real estate taxes. Identify and disclose this year's budget increases to last year's budget on a line-by-line basis so that we know what you're talking about. Itemize new expenses and capital expenditures not previously defined in the prior year budget. Save financial expense funds by scaling down the scope and budget for the new administration building and library, and be transparent with these savings. Please let the public know how you're saving money. Then I request that you redirect these scaled down funds to teachers' pay and financial support for the WJCC programs to improve students' academic proficiency goals for the Elevate 2028 program. Thank you very much.
Jack Haldeman?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Jack Haldeman. I live at 5633 Boatwright Circle. As you know, I'm a planning commissioner, but I came here this evening as a private resident to ask you to please, actually to beg you to please reinstitute the Purchase of Development Rights program that was so tragically abandoned in 2005. You're going to have a lot of demands on the capital budget. I know that you already have. So why dedicate funds to protecting open space? The population of James City County currently, as I know you know this, is 84,000 roughly. There are projections from credible researchers that figure will reach 120,000 in the year 2045. That's 35,000 extra residents in the next 20 years. If you assume 2 people per household, I'm guessing here, I admit it, but 2 people per household, that's another 17,000 homes to be built in James City County over the next 20 years.
I'm no traffic engineer, but I took some figures from the Institute of Transportation Engineering manual and projected that those new households will generate 120 to 130,000 average daily car trips, additional to what we have now. 120,000 extra car trips in the next 20 years. Stop and think about the intersection of 199 from Tyler to Jamestown to Brookwood. Mr. Henderson mentioned Richmond Road and 199 and Centerville and Lightfoot Road, that area. The intersection of Richmond Road and Ironbound Road and Long Hill Road, where James Blair Middle School is. Another 122,000 cars is going to make a mess of this. And there's no real easy way to widen those roads at that intersection. No way to mitigate it. Moving from traffic impervious surface, hundreds of acres of new impervious surface will be generated by these extra homes. There's no number of BMPs, there's no engineers that can mitigate the damage this will do to our already impaired watersheds. There will be an increased cost of government. There's an immutable law of municipal finance that the per capita cost of government rises with population density. And you're seeing that already. All these people here talking about concerns about tax increases and so forth. One of the reasons for this is general inflation, but one of the reasons is the sharp increase in population density that we've had in the last 50 years. It causes the increase in the cost of government always and everywhere. If you don't believe me, ask the people in Fairfax County. And then finally, and not least significantly, the loss of community character. It's already severely eroded. The image of colonial and rural and historic ambiance gets suffocated sometimes in the traffic, the red lights, the strip malls, and so forth that our tourists encounter as they come to Williamsburg. So this is going to cost money, the purchase of development rights. I would ask you to issue a bond, borrow the money, borrow a lot of it, 9 figures. The pristine credit rating of this county, and by the way, I thank you for your stewardship of that, will probably get a net interest cost of around 3.5% on a 30-year fixed rate bond. You're going to be buying hard assets with those bond proceeds. And at the end of 30 years, the bonds will be paid off and the assets will remain. And the assets are not just hard assets, but they're assets in the terms of increased community character, increased quality of life, and increased environment. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Ms. Henderson.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Chris Henderson, 101 Keystone. The James City County Board of Supervisors is accustomed to starting its budget process by looking at what it spent last year and then multiplying it by a percentage across the board. I would like to see this year's budget be a zero-based budget, that we break down every single department and that we justify every single position and that we justify every dollar that's spent for the citizens. Because you are going to be imposing a tax increase on James City County citizens to pay for the projects that you approved last year. It's coming, and it's a freight train, and there's no running away from it. So the question is, how do we make James City County affordable? Because it's largely unaffordable. A young family starting out cannot afford to buy a home in James City County, and that's sad. So my question for you is, what are you going to do about it? Okay? And if you look at it, if you look at your budget through the lens of an average young family, That will really establish some priorities for you. And you may not find that a brand new administrative building is that important when it comes to how kids get educated, how our community is policed, how we provide fire and EMS service, how we navigate our roadways, and how we take care of our people. I mean, it rated low in my priority list. I spoke against it, and you prevailed. So what I want you to do is zero-based budgeting. And Mr. Everson and I, 12 years ago, took the county budget apart, and we came up with $5 million in savings plus or minus. We came up with a program to eliminate 20 positions within the county. We were laughed at originally, but you know what? Over 2 or 3 budget cycles, almost every single one of our recommendations was implemented when it was rejected out of hand in the first year. I would encourage this board to actually put together a group of business executives in this community to develop your budget. Let people who know how to spend money tell you how we should spend our money. I think that would be a great idea. I think you would be shocked by what the business community would come up with. And I'd be willing to serve. I own small businesses. I've employed 200 people at one time, so I know how to balance a budget. Now, my priorities may be different than yours, but at least you would have a different perspective from a group of people who are important to have as your partners in this process. I would also like to see us solve the problems with our schools. And rather than hiring a bunch of full-time employees that come with all of the attendant and insurance and payroll taxes and all of that, why don't we hire consultants or hire retired people, pay them a stipend, and then if they're successful, give them a bonus based on performance. They're not on our payroll. We give them a consulting fee, and if their students perform up to the standard, they get paid more. Pay for performance. I'd also like to see the board, and I know that the state government has to do with it, deal with the voucher system. And maybe we could reduce some of the population in James City County schools, and it would cost us less per pupil. Because right now, if it costs us $20,000 per student to educate them, you could probably give a family a $10,000 stipend, and they'd happily move on. And we'd arbitrage the $10,000 savings. Wouldn't that be great? I was at Costco the other day. I talked to a Hampton EMS lieutenant, and we were talking about the shooting at Patrick Henry Mall. I asked him, I said, what happened over there? Yeah, it was a gang shooting. I said, well, I live in James City County. He goes, you guys have a gang problem too. I was like, we do? He goes, oh yeah, there are gangs all over James City County. Well, what are we gonna do about it? We don't want to become like Newport News, and we don't want to become like Hampton. So it's important that we take steps now to deal with the problem before it gets out of hand. And so if we need additional policing, then we need to do it. We also have to recognize that every kid's not college material, and we need to provide vocational training for them and give them a path. We need plumbers, we need electricians, we need HVAC guys. And they'll make more money than somebody with a sociology degree. Thank you.
Dick Derby?
Thank you for taking time to listen to all the people speak. I know that doesn't change your decisions, but it's always nice to see that you take the time to listen to them. I live in Governor's Land, and I just wanted to share some viewpoints, maybe some feedback that you guys actually will take to heart. Couple of things with respect to the rate that you're going to apply for the tax rate and how you apply that. Now, if you look at the average that properties rose in our county and you just apply that to the entire tax base, and then just apply that as a whole, then you could probably go ahead and do that. But I think what you're going to find is that property values, particularly in high-end homes, have been declining. So I'll tell you what's going on. For example, Governor's Land, we've had 40 homes sold in the last year. Now, these are high-end homes, right? All of us are fortunate enough to be a resident there. But they've been on the market 2 to 3 times longer than in the past. Almost every home had to be marked down several times in order to sell. So you're going to have a bifurcation of your tax base. I think you're going to see the same thing if you look at Kingsmill, you look at Forts Colony, you look at some of the areas where the higher end homes that probably generate about 20% of the tax base, they're not seeing any improvement. They're not part of that 20% increase that everybody's talking about. In fact, if anything, it's flat to down. Homes that would have been going for $1.3 million, actually I've seen sell for $1.1 million. Marked down $200,000. So that's a meaningful decline. So I think you really need to take to heart what's taking place here and why that's taking place. So you're seeing increases in HOA fees taking place because their costs are all rising. That's part of the detriment to the assessed value. Their taxes have gone up 50% because a lot of the appreciation in the home. So you're asset rich, but you're cash flow poor. And that's part of the other thing. The other thing is, you heard mentioned 40,000 more people are projected to potentially come to this community. I will tell you that I doubt that that's going to be the case, because if my perspective, having been here now for 4 years, is that Charles City County is going to pick up the significant increase of growth and not us. The tax rate there has been a lot more. They're much more conservative. You look at their county center and what there it is. It's like got a cafe and a county center. They're spending their money on schools. They're spending their money on local projects, and they're much more attractive to developers. And I think if I'm Ryan Homes, I'm going to build my development on the other side of the border, right over on the other side of the Chickahominy, and build it over there. The other thing you're going to see is restaurants are struggling here in our area. Liquor sales are down 50%, 40 to 50%, and that's a huge margin product for them. So meanwhile, you're raising taxes on the restaurants. At the same time, they're seeing less traffic. So the Chickahominy House, Carrot Tree, they're both shutting down after 70 years. Chickahominy House has been here, it's gone. It's going to shut down this month. So I think those are just, signs to you of some of the struggles that are taking place out there. So we're very dependent on, hospitality in part of our revenue base. That area is under pressure. And I think things that you can do to help them and encourage them and, is going to be necessary. And again, I don't think you have to worry about the significant growth that, coming to James City County, because that's going to bypass us. I mean, candidly, if they start to develop homes and communities in Charles City County, I think you're going to see people pick up from James City County and move down into next door. So just keep that in the back of your mind, because I think a couple of things you're going to see is the fact that taxes have gone up as much as they have made this less attractive a community where people came here for that reason. They came and moved here because we had a much lower tax base. Now, as a percentage, it hasn't changed. You can say it's 8.3, it hasn't changed, it hasn't moved, your homes are more valuable. But that, again, comes back to the same point. Asset rich, cash flow poor, right? And a lot of people are retirees, a lot of people on fixed income, a lot of new homes, you're not getting that same impact. So you're making it less attractive to remain a resident in James City County and not move to Charles City. So I think Charles City, is going to succeed and at our expense because of some of the programs and the approaches that you've taken. So consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that concludes the speaker cards for the session. So I'm going to close the public hearing, and we will move on to our next public hearing. Okay. It's disappeared. So our second public hearing is, excuse me, is Z 250007, MP 250005, 6810 Richmond Road, the Williamsburg Pottery, Proffer, and Master Plan Amendment. And we have presenting for tonight Sarah Probst. Ms. Probst, thank you for stepping in.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board.
And before I do that, if I could
Yes.
just mention that Mr. Everson is here representing the Planning Commission this evening. Thank you.
Ms. Dawn Griggs of Thalheimer has applied on behalf of Coastal Church for a proffer and master plan amendment to include institutional uses in the previously adopted master plan. The property known as the Pottery consists of 3 large buildings and a smaller outbuilding. It is currently zoned M1 Limited Business Industrial with proffers and is designated mixed use in the 2045 Comprehensive Plan. A master plan amendment change is needed to allow Coastal Community Church and institutional use to occupy Building B, the large central structure on future parcel A2, as shown on the proposed master plan. The church has a proposed seating capacity of 1,000 people with 208 parking spaces available. The zoning ordinance requires 200 parking spaces for that proposed capacity. The applicant has proffered a parking agreement to be recorded prior to the certificate of occupancy that provides an additional 50 parking spaces through a parking easement with the Pottery to alleviate parking congestion between services. Proffer 3 requires a 30-minute interval between public assemblies that exceed 50 people, and traffic management will be provided by Proffer number 5. To further mitigate impacts, the applicant has provided Proffer number 4, which would disallow public assemblies exceeding 250 peak hour vehicle trips on a weekday that is not a federally recognized holiday. At the December 3rd, 2025 meeting, the Planning Commission voted 6-0 to recommend approval to the master plan amendment and rezoning request to the Board of Supervisors with provided proffers. Staff recommends that the Board of Supervisors approve the proposed proffer and master plan amendment subject to the proposed proffers. I am available for any questions you may have, and the applicant is also here.
Thank you, Ms. Probst. Anybody have questions for staff at this point?
I do want to just say that I had reached out to staff regarding the parking because that was a concern, because we had also gotten something about another SUP, and the parking was very different and a lot less people, a lot more parking. So that was a concern, and but you all informed me about the different amendments that have been made, and so I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that.
Any other questions or concerns? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Probst. Mr. Everson, to report from the Planning Commission.
Be quite short. Basically, the commission had a couple of clarifying questions, one being on the parking, and with really no further discussion, we voted 6-0 in a voice vote. It was had a number of speakers, but nothing really came up that anybody was opposed to or really in favor of.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Everson. Any questions for Mr. Everson? Now let me open the public hearing, and the first speaker is the applicant, Sean Brown.
Good evening, board, and Mr. Chairman, I'm new at this too, so I'll fumble my way through this, and thank you.
I'm newish at it.
Thank you very much for hearing. We're very excited to be here. We've worked really, really hard to get to this point. I certainly want to thank the James City County staff. They've worked really hard with us, and of course, the Planning Commission as well. So thank you, and of course, board, thank you as well for your time this evening. I've brought a team. If you have any questions, I'm just a pastor, so there may be some questions you have that I brought a team, and I'll introduce them in a minute. And I will say, if you ever add an invocation to your time, I've got a whole row of pastors that will sign up and be a part of that as well. But my name's Sean Brown. I've been the pastor of the church for almost 25 years. And I'll go ahead and go to my first slide. The ask is the rezoning or the master plan amendment so that we can purchase the Pottery Building B. And you already know the ask of a 1,000-seat auditorium. We wanted to build out that. We want to build out our kids' area for Sunday school classes and light office use. And we plan to do minimal changes to the exterior, and we know that we will work closely with the county on that. We have a strong history. So to tell you a little bit about our church, I actually started the church 25 years ago. We started in a rental facility in Grafton High School. We made our first purchase in Yorktown, Virginia, and then our second purchase in Yorktown, Virginia is the picture of the old Kroger building. And the reason I have that up there is just to show you we have a history of redoing facilities of this size. We know we have the expertise to do what needs to be done and to do it with excellence so that it's a great look in the James City County community. We currently have 7 campuses that stretch from Chesapeake to Richmond. We have about 3,600 in regular attendance on most Sunday mornings. And in fact, our Christmas Eve services, we had over 5,000 people a part of our church. And I wish they could all be here because they did a Christmas offering that they all the campuses from all the communities donated to, so that we are strongly positioned to build out this property if you guys were to approve the master plan amendment. So we're very, very excited. And we have a history of revitalizing buildings, although we have built new from time, but we have many, many buildings that we have revitalized, and we take existing structures and we use them for our church, and that's what we hope to do here as well. Our community impact, as I talked about, we have a lot of attendees, and across our 7 campuses, we have a strong both children and student ministry, and this is actually on the, oh no, it's up there, it's on this slide. And so you talked about gang members. We want them to come to our church so they are not in gangs. So that's where we want them. And we believe we're developing future student leaders in our community, and we'll do so here in the James City County community. We do a ton of local outreaches. I heard conversation tonight about the homeless. We do hot meals, we do groceries and provide meals, thousands of people every month. We intend that to be a part of our James City in our Williamsburg location here. Thousands of backpacks, thousands of Christmas gifts to needy families. We try really hard to be, to make a welcomed community impact to those in need, as well as providing for the spiritual needs of our community as well. Now, in regard to just our Williamsburg campus, this campus started 2 years ago. We're renting 1100 Jamestown Road, but it's our only campus without a permanent location. So we have been kicking the tires on places that we might be able to have a meeting for our permanent location. We currently run about 600 people. We had about 1,000 people on our Christmas Eve service. And I always say that your Christmas Eve and your Easter services is how many people call at your home church. So that's how many people are our home church. They're in your community, and we welcome that, and we're glad, and we want to continue to be good neighbors and be a part of this community, and we're excited about that. So you know our need, as I already said, this is the only campus without a permanent home, and we're hopeful that the board will approve this master plan, and we can purchase this property, and we can revitalize it, and it be our permanent home in the James City County community, and we're excited about that. And to reach this in the greater Williamsburg area, and if 40,000 new people move here in the next 20 years, we want to be here for them, okay? So, and so we need a stability and a stable presence for our Williamsburg campus, and so that's the hope. I'm going to introduce you to the team in case you all have any questions that I might not be able to answer. Andrew Oates is our executive pastor. He and Jeff Fry and Mark Thompson have done they've revitalized, built, or renovated probably 4 or 5 commercial spaces in our church facilities through the years. And so they really are experts in what will need to be done if we purchase the Pottery. Adam Reimert has helped us with the master plan, and Tim Trant has helped us with the legal pieces and the proffers. And so if you have any questions, these will be some of the people that I might call upon. Dawn Griggs, of course, has been a real estate agent. She's done an incredible job. And I do want to introduce you to, this is Colin Curtis. He's our campus pastor. He's the one that's in the community every single week. And he is a great young leader in the community, and he will be a benefit to this community as well. I know some of the current concerns have been traffic, and we've worked really, really hard with the Planning Commission to mitigate traffic. I want you to know we're experts at mitigating traffic. I know you have the concern, we don't want people sitting all over the parking lot. Well, guess what? We don't either, because they're not going to come back, especially if Pastor Colin preaches too long, and then they got to go sit out in the parking lot. So we're experts at that. We do that at several of our sites. We mitigate traffic, and we intend to do that at the Pottery as well. I think one of the things that a church does differently maybe than most businesses is our peak times are off rush hour, so I don't foresee any traffic issues. And I would say that all of our locations are a blessing to the local businesses. I mean, our people gather, and then they go out and spend money at restaurants and things like, I can't speak to the liquor use at the restaurant. I hope that's not happening, but they will eat afterwards, okay? So, I think if you ask the local businesses about us as a church, they would welcome that, and they see that as a benefit when our people come from all over the community and then disperse and oftentimes use their resourcing in the community. So this next slide.
Could I just ask you about that
Yes, sir.
That first line, what is the J supposed to be? What number is that supposed to be?
So this might have been what we were talking about. We had a few not typos. They didn't, what's the word I'm looking for? It didn't transpose on the slides very
Right, just
well.
wanted
But
to know
it's probably 11. It's supposed to be 11:30.
Thank you.
I don't think Pastor Colin preaches till 11:30 p.m. That's a long, long sermon. So it's 11:30 a.m. and a great catch, and I apologize for that. We wouldn't be running this many people if he went that long, I don't suspect. And so this is the next slide. Is actually we've answered all of these in the proffers, but these were some of the original questions. A little bit dated of a slide, but we've worked closely with the staff to answer all of these questions. We've got easements to all of these questions, and I think we're working very closely with our neighbors on the purchase of Building B, and that's going to work very, very well. So the next one is the plat. You guys see that. This is not my area of expertise. This is where I would call Adam if you had any plat questions. But this is the area that we are looking to purchase and for the master plan rezoning. And then the final couple things is why we think this matters to James City County. We have a proven history of revitalizing spaces. We want to be good neighbors. I hope that we're that way, all the way from Chesapeake to Richmond, and we want to continue to be that here in James City County. We want to make a difference for people in need. We want to provide for the nurturing of people's spiritual and souls, and I think that's important in our culture. And so we hope that you guys will vote to rezone and redo the master plan so that we can make an impact in our community. And really, I didn't even spend time on how we make an impact all around the world. And so Coastal Church makes an impact all around the world. So with that, I want to thank you. Our hope is to be good partners and good neighbors. And I will take any questions or at least invite a team member if you guys have any questions. Thank you for your time.
Any questions for Pastor Brown?
I don't have any questions, but I did talk to Pastor Brown a while back, and I'm excited for this. I think it's a good use of the property, which is sitting vacant for years, and to do good in the community, so I welcome you.
Thank you, Ms. Knoll. I appreciate that. We're eager to be a part of the community for sure.
Thank you very much. Any other question? Any questions? No. Thanks. At this point, we'll move on to the public hearing. Speakers who have not yet been called. So I'll now, let's see, Chris Henderson.
Right. Good evening again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Chris Henderson, 101 Keystone. A healthy community of faith and church presence is indicative of a healthy community. Churches and synagogues are important civic organizations within a thriving community, and James City County really stands out as an area that actually has a growing population of church attenders, which is something that we should be proud of and encourage. And so, you know, I think you would find that churchgoers tend to be really good citizens. They're civically engaged. They think about other people in terms of what they can do to help to be a good steward and a good neighbor. So I'm encouraged about the Coastal Church coming to our community. They have an excellent reputation. That particular location, I have a couple of concerns. First of all, as it relates to traffic. Richmond Road corridor through Centerville to 199 is the most heavily trafficked area on Route 60 in James City County. And it is expected to be at a failing level of service within the next 5 years. We need to do something to make some improvements out there. So rather than wait for the road system to fail, hopefully we can be working with VDOT to get ahead of some of this traffic that's going to be building, whether that's adding lanes or more traffic control. We got to do something in order to accommodate big traffic generators like churches that have these large influx and outflows of folks. My bigger concern is really it's a financial one for the county, because what we're doing now is when this is approved, we'll be taking a tax generating parcel off the tax roll. And the property is assessed at approximately $70 million or $7 million. I think it's 20 million between the two, but I allocated something less to it. And so that equates to about $60,000 per year in revenue in real estate taxes that are paid to James City County. And by converting to a nonprofit use, the church will be tax exempt, and therefore James City County will be forfeiting the potential to receive $60,000 of tax revenue on its most valuable commercial corridor. And so I want you to go in with your eyes wide open as to what this commitment means. It means $60,000 a year and increasing of lost revenue. Now, I can make the argument that it's well worth it, and if it were $600,000, I could probably support it. But you're going to be making decisions about tax rates, and people are going to be looking to you when their tax assessment goes up in their home, and they're going to be asking, well, okay, how did you give away $60,000, and you're looking for me to make that up? So that's a condition noted from a taxpayer. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the cards that I have for this particular case. I'll close the public hearing and ask the board for any discussion or a motion.
I'll start out with the discussion. I was very pleased to be able to sit down and have this discussion about their proposal well in advance, and I was impressed with the proposal that the church has put forward. I think that Mr. Henderson raises a valid point about the loss of tax revenue, but one of the things that you have to consider is I hear from my constituents about taxes, but I also hear from the constituents about empty storefronts. And this is one of the biggest empty storefronts on the whole corridor. And I think that this is a good repurposing, a good reutilization of an existing facility that is otherwise lying dormant and deteriorating. And I think it will continue to add to the benefit of the community. Weighing all that in the balance, I think I will have no problem supporting this application.
Eisner, anybody else wish to comment? Do I have a motion?
Motion for approval.
Okay, we have a motion for approval. Mr. Stevens, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much. We now move on to our next public hearing, and that is SUP 250014, 4300 John Tyler Highway, Williamsburg School for the Arts and Innovation. Allison Jacora is going to make the presentation for the staff. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Krista John of Williamsburg School of Arts and Innovation is the applicant for this special use permit at 4300 John Tyler Highway. It is for a private school at the property highlighted in red here along John Tyler Highway, just outside of the Five Forks community character area. The property is zoned R8 rural residential and indicated within the land use plan as low density residential. In 1989 and 1995, Bright Horizons Daycare Center received an SUP for the property to operate a daycare, built the primary building and a secondary building. However, they have ceased operation, so the property is currently vacant with the two improved buildings and parking lot structures. The applicant is proposing to use those existing improvements for a private school primarily for homeschool students focused on art and creative learning opportunities, including theater. Their rehearsals projected to have 25 to 30 students with class time staggered throughout the week and occasional weekend or evening sessions. They are not proposing any exterior changes at this time, but would be doing interior remodel to achieve their school layout. The 2045 comprehensive plan does consider schools as appropriate within the low-density residential as long as certain criteria are met. In analysis, staff does find that those criteria are met and finds that this would be an appropriate reuse of the existing facility on this location. For that reason, the staff recommends approval of this SUP as the Planning Commission did as well. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chikura. Anybody have any questions for staff?
Just one question. Do you know how long the property has been vacant?
I am not actually aware of when the Bright Horizons ceased. Perhaps the applicant might know as they were
Well,
communicating
we'll get
with
to
the
that
realtor.
later. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I was just gonna, Bright Horizons was sold. I noticed this in the staff report many years ago, and I believe Child Care Network took over. And Child Care Network ran a daycare center in those two buildings for quite some time, and I believe probably at least 2 years maybe that it has not been operating as a child care center. So, so the question was raised about property taxes prior. With this property, it looks like it's going to be art and theater, so it's going to be a profit. I'm assuming it's not a school, so to speak.
It would be a private school rather than a
So are
public.
they exempt from from property tax?
My understanding they would be paying taxes, but I could defer again to the applicant if they have
thank you.
more knowledge on that.
All right.
Any other questions for staff? Not at this time. Thanks, Mr. Chikura.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Everson for the Planning Commission report.
To the point, my two grandkids went there back in 2000 to 2002, so I knew they were operating then. Several people spoke in favor of it, and the PC voted 6-0 in favor without any discussion.
Thank you very much. And so I'll now open the public hearing. And the speaker card I have is from Krista and Gary John, the applicants.
Evening, Board and Mr. Chairman. My name is Gary John, 4 Sheffield Road. I'm here representing Williamsburg School for the Arts and Innovation. My wife is actually in the audience. She's the director of this school and founder, along with ourselves. So we are asking for you to consider us for the permit for us to become an education facility there. It was currently a daycare center, so it was, and then they had a permit from there. To answer your first question, it's definitely been empty for over a year. I think maybe even longer. I don't know the exact dates, but we are looking to repurpose that building that is vacant right now, and it is a privately owned. So yes, we are going to be having to pay taxes. We love paying taxes, so it is currently the use for it. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the school. Just so you have an understanding about what we would do there and how it would impact the community. So if we can go on to the next slide, that'd be great. It's founded, so Williamsburg School for the Arts was founded by my wife. She's had 20 years in education in the US. She's currently going to William and Mary for her PhD in education. We moved here about 4 years ago into the community from Arizona. And one of the things that we found is that there was no year-round education thing for anything to do with theater and arts. It's all been taken out of the school. So we wanted to fill a gap. Our children love theater and arts and things like that. So we were looking for somewhere and we just couldn't find it. So we took it upon ourselves to look at the community and see what we needed. So we opened up Williamsburg School for the Art, and we've been running it out of public places like the Stryker Center, and some churches have donated their space. But we really are looking for a permanent home for ourselves. And so we served dozens and dozens of families within the community already. We've hosted some theater over at in Merchant Square in the Kimball Theater. We did a show in the fall, which had over 40 children that came and went to rehearsals and learned how to be in theater, and whether that's on stage or behind the scenes, and really create a nice little community for ourselves. But we want to expand that, and we want to grow, and we want to offer a more educational background to theatre, arts, design, and some STEM activities. So we're looking at very small class sizes with flexible education. We're generally promoted towards homeschoolers. At the moment, I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think somebody threw out like 2,000 or so homeschool people in this area. And we want to have an option for them to actually come and do some extra activities with us to support their education. So we're looking to do those throughout the school day, plus we'll be offering some evening classes and some weekend options, just to make it more flexible and open to people. So we're really looking to develop the creative side of children in the community. Can we go to the next slide? Thank you. So we're centered, the actual programs that we're centered on is visual arts and fine arts instruction. We have a youth theatre program. We're also doing some design and technology and some backstage skills. And also we're trying to add some STEM classes as well. And again, being flexible is a big thing here. So we have a lot of options available to try and service the community. And we'd also be looking at summer camps as well to offer for that available to families. If you could move on, please. So the location, 4300 John Tyler Highway, it's a great location for us. It's very centrally located here. We don't really see there being that much impact as far as traffic is concerned. Seems we have staggered class sites. There's no one drop off and pick up time. So we have different times, and you might have, and because of the small classroom sizes, we're not really seeing very much of an impact there. But for us, it's a great location. It's centered there. It can attract a lot of people. It's very low mileage for them to get to us, so they're not stuck in cars for a long time. I know when we were first started and moved here, we were having to drive to Richmond to get what we're trying to offer. So that's almost a 2-hour round trip, and add in extra traffic and everything else. So we are trying to bring the space back together. It is 2 buildings there, and we're looking to take the building and we're not looking to do any exterior renovations. It looks pretty good. Maybe put a few signs up. That's about it, I think. The interior, we are working with an architect right now, and we will be looking to develop the indoor space and renovate it a little bit, but we don't see anything too major happening interior to that. And that's the space. If we can move on. Traffic and parking. Okay, so we talked a little bit about that. So, because it is a small group programs, and we believe that there's plenty of parking on site. We have, it was set up for a daycare. There was plenty of space there that we believe, and again, very low impact to the traffic that's in there. In fact, probably less than it was previously in the daycare, where it was all being dropped off at the same time and picked up. So, yeah. And if we can move on, thank you. Community impact. Well, obviously, we're looking to service some communities. We've had a lot of support. If you were here at the last meeting, you would see a lot of, we actually took up a lot of time where a lot of families came and spoke in our favor, and a lot of people wrote in as well to the county just to offer support. We do think that we're offering something that is not available out there, so we're not competing with anybody. We are trying to grow a community within a community. I really feel like the kids, if you ever see them in the theatre, they really gel together, and it's an amazing community, and they want to be together, and it's a great environment for them. So we are obviously trying to provide a very meaningful experience for these children. Not only it's not just coming to learn theatre, but there are lessons behind it. We're having a wife who's been in education. Everything that she does is with purpose. And so even if it's like a most basic task, there is a lesson behind there, whether that is an educational one or whether that's as a human being to try and develop their social skills. And, we are offering a flexibility to the homeschoolers, which they haven't had before. And support to them. So a lot of people, if you've ever homeschooled a child before, it's quite draining on your resources as a parent. And so to have something out there that can support you, and even give you a break for an hour or so while you can go off and go shopping or do whatever, run some errands. So we're really trying to do that. The other thing is that we're really trying to build partnerships within the local community with businesses and with other communities out there. And we're very much a service-based thing. We try to instill with everybody in there that we were trying to give back to the community. So we were just at a community center for where we were singing carols over Christmas and, you know, trying to do different things out there in the community as well. So, and we're trying to instill that into all the children that come in. So we're trying to be a big part of the community and a big positive part as well. So, thank you. So yes, we have a strong interest in it. We have, like I said, we had over 40 children in our last production. We've had about 40 children come through our programs already. We're trying to offer more, but we really need that permanent home to grow and to offer some more options out there. Yeah, everybody that we talked to has had strong feelings about wanting this in here, and we've had no negative comments at all. So hopefully you guys will support us as well. And I think that's it, really. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. My wife is the genius behind all of this. She can maybe be able to answer any more that I don't have, but I'm open to any questions you might have or questions or concerns.
Thank you, Mr. John. Does anybody have any questions for the applicant?
Do you plan to do any performances at the school?
And that is a possibility that we are possibly going to do some, it's not a big space, but anything that we would do would be pretty, you know, small impact, I think. So, but there is, we have discussed it, we have talked about possibly doing something there, but, you know, it wouldn't be anything that is major. We are still planning on doing one or two major performances each year at the Kimball Theatre, like we have done, because, you know, a space like that just really doesn't warrant a big performance, and we'd like to do a, you know, big showcase one. We had about 1,000 people attend the Kimball Theatre, and, you know, we would only just put on some very small little performances, you know. That's the thought at this time.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much, Mr. John.
Thank you for your consideration.
And I have no other cards, so I'll close the public hearing and ask for the board's
I'll do a motion for approval.
motion for approval. Mr. Stevens, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Ms. Null? Mr. McGlennon?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. Now move on to SUP 250007, 4797 Fenton Mill Road, Contractor's Office. Will Alveston is going to make the presentation for the staff. Mr. Alveston?
Yes, just one moment, Mr. Chairman. I do believe I have a presentation in the folder. Right, apologies for that. We will continue on nonetheless. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Mr. Pedro Foster of Heavy Duty Brothers LLC has applied for a special use permit to allow for the construction of approximately 3,500 square foot building to be used as a contractor's office. There we are. At 4797 Fenton Mill Road. The property is approximately 2 acres in size, zoned A1 General Agricultural, designated rural lands on the 2045 Comprehensive Plan land use map, and located outside of the primary service area. In the A1 zoning district, contractors' warehouses, sheds, and offices require a special use permit. This business specializes in residential new construction, remodeling, concrete work, and light excavation. The applicant has stated that he currently employs 3 to 5 full-time employees, and they typically spend their days at job sites. If equipment is needed at a job site, the applicant has indicated it would stay at the job site until the job is completed. Occasional visits from subcontractors, inspectors, and material deliveries are expected. As part of the applicant's proposal, the existing building would be partially torn down and then reconstructed within the existing footprint. The reconstructed building is expected to consist of a shop area, storage area, office, and bathroom. The applicant expects to be the only person frequently using this building. He plans to store a skid steer, dump trailers, scissor lift, man lift, and various construction materials inside of the building. If this SUP is approved, any future development on the property associated with this proposal would have to be consistent with the master plan, SUP conditions, and zoning ordinance requirements. Proposed SUP conditions are designed to address and enhance compatibility with the natural and rural character of the area and to minimize impacts to adjacent properties. The proposed SUP conditions contain the following requirements: an architectural design review of the building prior to site plan approval, enhanced buffering and screening with required landscaping and fencing, enhanced lighting standards, and outdoor operations as well as storage of equipment or materials are restricted, only allowing vehicle parking and a trash container outside of the building. Based on input and feedback recently received, the applicant has notified staff that he is amenable to the revised SUP conditions that I believe have been provided to you before the meeting. These revised conditions include removing the proposed 2,000 square foot building addition from the proposal, reducing operating hours to 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. A new condition has been added stating that all outside lights may not be routinely illuminated outside of operating hours. A new condition has been added stating that no portion of the contractor's office shall be used as a showroom for the display of materials, services, or products for sale or advertisement. A new condition has been added stating that no more than 10 gallons of fuel may be stored on the property for the project, except the fuel in the tanks of vehicles or work equipment. A new condition has been added limiting signage to only one exterior freestanding sign, and a new condition has been added stating that the exterior freestanding sign may only be illuminated externally, meaning no internal lighting will be allowed inside of the sign. The comprehensive plan designates this property as well as all surrounding parcels as rural lands. Recommended primary uses for the rural lands designation include agricultural and forestal activities. However, appropriately scaled and located direct agricultural or forestal support uses, home-based occupations, or certain uses which require very low intensity setting relative to the site in which it will be located may be considered on the basis of a case-by-case review, provided such uses are compatible with the natural and rural character of the area and are in accordance with the rural lands development standards. While it is not an agricultural or forestal use, staff finds that the proposal would be a very low intensity operation, which is compatible with the natural and rural character of the area and is in accordance with the rural lands development standards. Given the proposed conditions, master plan and zoning ordinance requirements, staff finds the proposal compatible with surrounding zoning and development. Staff finds that this proposal is consistent with the zoning ordinance and generally consistent with the 2045 comprehensive plan, and staff recommends approval of this application subject to the proposed conditions. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and the applicant is also in attendance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Halveston. Any questions for staff?
Yes, I have some. So what is surrounding that staff finds compatible? Because when I was out there, I saw a residential, I saw a Christmas tree farm way down a little bit, but certainly not an I didn't see another operation that was a business. I saw a lot of homes that had been there a very long time. So I'm just curious what staff saw that was compatible with this type of business. So, because I must have missed that.
Understandable. Where we based that assessment off of was in the rural lands development standards, which was part of that secondary use suggestion in the comprehensive plan for the rural lands district. So it met all of the criteria, or met in spirit all of the criteria listed in those rural development standards. And that's where we based it being compatible with the rural character and surrounding area. Absolutely.
Are there any other businesses along that stretch of Fenton Mill?
I believe across and a little further northwest, there's another contractor's office or shop of some sort there. And then there's obviously the Christmas tree farm as well.
Other questions?
Yeah, I was going to say, Just out of curiosity, you say the current existing building will be either partially or mostly torn down and reconstructed on that same footprint. So we're looking at a 3,500 square foot building, period.
Correct.
And that, would it be his office and the restroom and a lot of the equipment? It sounds like from what you listed, that the equipment that would be stored in there would be fairly small equipment, not like trucks or vehicles or anything like that. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
The building has I want to say 14-foot tall, but maybe the applicant could correct me, but a garage door that would limit what really could go in there.
Are there any indications of how many vehicles that the contractor would expect to have either parked overnight or on a normal regular duty day, the number of vehicles that you could expect to see parked at or around the building? Any comment?
I would defer to the applicant on that question, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Other questions for staff or no?
One, did staff visit the property?
Let's have one sentence. At the beginning where it talks about the comprehensive plan, it says it's not consistent with the primary recommended uses in the rural lands, and we are somewhat obligated to follow the comprehensive plan because that's a guideline. You know, I worked on it. It's nasty to write and it's nasty to fix, but you know, when it's not consistent, then I have a hard time going forward with something that does not maintain our rural character, which is what basically the master plan does say. So.
Any other questions for staff right now? Okay. Thanks, Mr. Albertson. And I'll call on Mr. Everson to give a report on the Planning Commission.
On the Planning Commission, there were several clarifying questions of staff regarding landscaping, sign, and lighting. One commissioner inquired whether this SUP would allow for a proposed expansion. At the time, the answer was yes. Two citizens spoke, raising concerns about the project. I understand one's here tonight. Commissioners asked questions about previous use of the building. Apparently it's a metal shop, but nothing currently. Does the A1 zoning prohibit contract offices? No, but with two public hearings and SUP, they could happen. Is storage of petroleum products allowed? The answer was yes, inside the building. And after a motion to deny, the Planning Commission voted 5-1 to approve. And that's about it.
Mr. Everson, was there any discussion of the specific items that have been addressed by the amendments to the staff report?
On the 2,000 square foot auxiliary building, that was a problem for me. There wasn't much other discussion about that. That was about it in terms of, I'm trying to think here if there's anything. That was it.
Thank you. Any questions? Open the public hearing, and does the applicant? Well, let me go ahead with those who've submitted speaker cards. Elizabeth Bowley.
Good evening, members of the Board of Supervisors. My name is Elizabeth Bowley, and I live at 4803 Fenton Mill Road, directly adjacent to 4797 Fenton Mill Road. I am here to respectfully share my concerns about the request for a special use permit to build and operate a business next to my home. My main concerns involve increased traffic, noise, lighting, and overall impact of our property's value and our neighborhood's peaceful environment. I have lived there for 45 years, and since recent changes of the adjacent property including tree removal, noise from the interstate, has already increased, reducing our tranquility, and adding a business like this will worsen those issues. Many residents, including myself, choose this area because of the zoning, expecting a quiet environment free from commercial activity. There are also plans to expand the proposed business and driveway, which suggest it could become a larger and initially become larger and initially be more of a larger business than a smaller business. With only 1 acre available for the business, it would sit very close to my home. I am also aware of the property owner owning 11 acres zoned the same way 5 minutes from the property that could better accommodate a business like this. If the permit is approved, I respectfully request that a buffer zone and privacy fence be required to protect my home and noise and activity, and that business operations be limited to weekdays between 8 and 5, with restrictions of large equipment used during early morning and evening hours. I have no personal objections to my new neighbors and wish to maintain a good relationship. My concerns are simply about the impact of a business being so close to my home. I ask that my concerns and those of the residents around me be taken into account when making this decision, and thank you for considering the consideration and working to preserve our community quality of life out in the area. Questions?
Thank you, Ms. Polly. We don't have to do
Okay,
that.
thank you.
James Brinkley?
Chairman, Mr. Chairman, board members, James City County, I'm James Brinkley, address 109 Providence Lane, Yorktown, Virginia. I've had the opportunity to know Peter Fuster with Heavy Duty Brothers for many years. Actually, I helped them go into business a long time ago there, and I can speak on their behalf. The dedication they have, the workmanship they have, the professionalism that they have of what they do, and they do outstanding work. They are very organized, very clean. They don't require a lot of stuff at their business because they actually do everything. Their employees show up to the job sites. They actually do work for me, have done work for me for many years. So I am very well aware of how they conduct their business and what they do. And I can tell you that property will increase in value when they get done with it. I haven't had the opportunity to actually see it, go to the site and see it, but I've seen aerial views of the property, and I know what they will do to that property will increase the value of the area, that property, the area around them. And you wouldn't be wrong by giving them the opportunity to show you what they can do to that piece of property. And they will be respectful to the people in that area, the existing homeowners that have been there for a very long time. They will not regret it once they see what they can do and how they operate. And that's what I have to say for them.
Thank you very much. Joshua Bowen. I'm sorry, Joshua Bowen.
Good evening. My name is Josh Bowen. I'm at 2908 Thomas Smith Lane in Williamsburg. I'm a lifelong resident of Williamsburg, Virginia, and I've owned a small business here for more than 15 years. I'm here to speak in support of the proposed special use permit for the contractor's office at 4797 Fenton Mill Road. I've known the owners of the Heavy Duty Brothers LLC, the Fuster family, for a little over 5 years. During that time, they've built multiple homes on properties I've sold them and have also completed work on my own personal residence. I can say without hesitation that they are some of the cleanest, most professional, reliable contractors I have ever worked with. They are respectful, efficient, and always follow through. Since purchasing this property, they've already made substantial improvements. The renovated trailers on site are among the nicest that I've seen. I'm confident they will significantly improve the appearance of the existing structure, which is currently an eyesore from the road. It's also important to note that the property backs up to Interstate 64. Noise has long been an issue at that property. Because of that, the site is far better suited for their needs than for residential uses, where constant highway noise is a real concern. I believe it's important to support hardworking, family-run small businesses, especially in today's environment. The Fuster family represents exactly the kind of business we should be encouraging. I respectfully urge you to approve this special use permit, and I believe it will be a positive, lasting benefit to the community. Thank you for your time.
Very much. Douglas Stephen Mallory.
Board. I live at 4650 Fenton Mill Road, just down the road from there. My main concern is safety. When David Nice built his facility a few years back, we were told it was just going to be a place where they were going to store topsoil and move it. There wasn't going to be anything. And that they've got an office there with lots of equipment. I've seen several times almost accidents, people pulling in and out of there. And now, like weekly, traffic is detoured by GPS on the Fenton Mill Road because of the interstate backing up. Last night it took me 30 minutes to get to Lightfoot because of traffic. My daughter was in an accident right in front of my house. That stretch there is 55 miles an hour. And where that building is in the curve. More traffic in there, and like Ms. Boley said, when I moved there 25 years ago, was for the quietness in the rural area. We don't need any more businesses. Thank you.
Very much. Shannon White and Matt Garrick.
I'm Shannon White, 4809 Fenton Mill Road. Thank you for this time. I could not make the initial meeting, and I have the same concern about safety issues. That particular property, since we have lived there, has had multiple accidents off that curve. And while I don't know if a building can or cannot, I mean, it could stop it. It could stop a car, but a car could also go through it. We bought the property that we purchased because it was residential and zoned agricultural. I did not expect a new business to be coming up next to us. I can say the farm that's across the street is a Century Farm. You know, it's been there for a long time. I too have noticed the David A. Nice, that particular location that's up a bit on Fenton Mill Road, also in that 55-mile-an-hour stretch. It's in a straight stretch with a lot of truck traffic. And once again, something that was initially proposed not to be what it is now. And I think that is the concern for many of our neighbors. As to quietness in I-64, I actually had nervousness buying our property because of 64, and it was a lot quieter prior to this particular purchase and the trees that went down. Can't do anything about that now. And to the staff member who stated 2 acres, yes, 2 acres, but there are 3 mobile homes on that lot right now. And I think that's something not to dismiss from this particular proposal. I appreciate the consideration, and I do appreciate the fact that the questions that we sent in via email, because my partner and I could not make the initial meeting, were addressed. So thank you all for your time.
Victoria Brinkley.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. My name is Victoria Brinkley. I'm a lifelong resident here in Williamsburg, James City County at 94 Knollwood, Williamsburg, Virginia 23188. But I am also the executive director of Edgeworth Park at Newtown. And I am here to speak on behalf of Heavy Duty Brothers LLC and their work, both personally and professionally. I've used them personally at my home, but I also have used them several times at my community. Most recently last year, and something that I'll speak to especially because safety has been mentioned as a concern, cleanliness. We had a major leak that occurred right off of our lobby. Edgeworth Park is a senior living facility. My biggest concern for this project and the construction was the safety of my residents, the cleanliness, because I have residents that travel through the community all around that area. I have guests, family members, and Heavy Duty Brothers was absolutely amazing to work with. They handled all of my concerns. They left the community cleaner than when they found it. As for my residents, certain areas they were able to make sure had safety measures taken where they taped down certain areas, made sure that rollators, walkers, wheelchairs could get through the area. They were very respectful of my residents and their family members. Their quality of work is bar none. I mean, we are a higher quality senior living facility. My corporate company was very impressed with the quality of work. They too want to engage with them in further jobs because of that. And my director of operations had said that she wished that she had them closer to all of our buildings. I truly believe that if you allow them to use the special use, that you'll be impressed. And as for the residents, I truly believe that the partnership with Heavy Duty Brothers, they will be respectful of the residents that live there. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Felicia Manley?
Felicia Manley, and I live at 4807 Fenton Mill Road, which is adjacent to the property that's being considered tonight. First off, I want to thank the commissioners or the supervisors that actually came out and looked at the property and saw what we were facing. And I'm glad to see that there are many people in the audience that think this is a good company, and that's great, but they're not going to be affected by the building that's going there. They don't live there, their property values are not going to be lowered, and they're not going to have the traffic problem. Fenton Mill Road is a small, narrow, winding road. There is a short stretch that's straight, but the rest of it is not. There are no pull-offs. There are no sides. You cannot make any pull-off whatsoever on any of the sides. And as one speaker already said, yes, we're getting diversions from 64 constantly now, and it's a nightmare. We don't need any more. Also, the 2,000 square feet that was to be added to this later, which the commission Planning Commission approved, was to be a showroom. Now, you can't have a showroom without traffic going in and out, can you? So that's going to increase the traffic on that small lane road too. They are already having to double the size of the driveway just to make turns into the property off of the small road. Most of the neighbors who live around there, with the exception of a few, have been there 40 years or longer. We have paid our taxes and done what the county has asked us to do. I have my septic tank pumped every 5 years like they request. Nobody has said anything about the well and the septic situation off of this. One bathroom may be one bathroom, but it still has to have a septic tank. Also, the property lowering, the value of our property being lowered is not a minor thing. Most of us have put most of our sweat, blood, tears, and money into our homes that are there. And we expect a return on them when we have to sell them. This is going to lower our property values. Also, I would like to recognize some people in the audience tonight. If you stand, I brought them in support. They are neighbors of the area that have to face what's going in there. I ask you, please, if this didn't need a special use permit, then why put it there? It's not consistent with what's there. It's right in the middle of a residential area, and it is a commercial business. And tomorrow, if he buys a big truck, I guarantee you he'll pull it in there. Now he's claiming he only has small trucks and trailers, but that won't stop him in the future. Please consider us when you consider this measure. Thank you.
Thank you. And looks like, excuse me if I get this wrong, Chantel Brown? I'm sorry, Chantel Brinkley?
Afternoon, I'm Chantel Brinkley. I live at 4857 Fenton Mill, which is adjacent to that property. I've owned that property for 25 years. I bought that property because it's rural, it's zoned agricultural, and I never expected for a business to be there. Everybody that is pro that does not live right across the street from what will be going in. Like Felicia said, traffic. We already have issue with traffic coming up and down Fenton Mill Road now. It will probably make it worse. The traffic from the interstate, we've grown accustomed to that. We bought the property knowing that there was an interstate there. You get accustomed to that. But when you start, bringing heavy equipment in and out, and we're designating a showroom, I just don't feel like if you put a business there, more businesses won't come behind it. And then it will no longer be a rural area. York County's already put that monstrosity at the corner of Fenton Mill, torn down how many trees, I don't know. But we'd like to keep that area rural. That's the reason we bought our properties, so we could live away from the city. If I wanted a business, I would have moved into Newtown, or I would have moved somewhere where there was a business in my front yard. That's not why we purchased our properties. Our properties are quiet and peaceful, and we just don't want to interrupt that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes the list of speakers for this particular item, and so I'm going to close the public hearing and ask the board for any questions, comments, or a motion.
A couple of questions, if I can. And I don't know whether it's staff would be the appropriate one for this or not, but if we can bring up the site plan, where it showed the green. Let's see, go back.
Site plan. It's up before.
Yeah, it was no, it was the one showing the actual the building and keep going.
The one with
There you go,
There we
right
go.
there. Question I have is the proffers on this basically, if I understand right now, say on the transition buffering and fencing on number 3, transitional buffer landscaping and fencing is shown on the master plan. That's the green area. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then it mentions fencing, wooden fencing between 6 and 8 feet high from grade. It shall not be across the front, but it's on the, is that on the sides? Where does that run? How far from the front to the back? Where does that run?
So if you can see the red line surrounding roughly there,
Okay.
That's a general location at this point, which would be refined at the site plan stage.
Okay,
if
so
this
that,
were-
on the side by where the shared driveway is, that where the red line starts up there, running all the way back to the back, it would have a fence, but it would also have a treed buffer at the back for the other two back there. Okay, that was one question I had. Let's see, what was the other one?
Mr. Eisner, we can come back to you if
Yeah.
Ms. Null, you wanted to ask a
I
question?
just had a few comments,
ahead.
if
Okay,
I
sure.
may.
Go ahead.
Number one, the shared driveway really got me going because it's only 10 or 12 feet wide. And Mrs. Bowley has the right to drive down there. However, if she was to meet a truck coming out of there or coming in at the same time she's leaving her driveway, she can't get by. The driveway is so narrow. And the only thing I could ever think of would be to make the driveway like 30 feet wide, deed her a side of it so she could always drive there if she needed be. One of my complaints is there was no fence. I see that fencing's coming in there, but I don't understand that. And as far as value, talking about property values, being an investor myself, her property value did not go up when they put 2 trailers behind there. So, you know, that's already lowered her property value, and I think being next door to a storage facility is not going to help the people in the area at all. You know, he's changed the hours of working and so forth, but also there are children back there in those mobile homes, and they're out on that driveway. And to me, I'm a freak for safety, and I don't think that helps there. And another indication, when you come off of Fenton Mill, when you come onto Fenton Mill Road from Croker, and you get to their property, there's a big curve in the road. Ms. Foley has told me they've had many people slide off the road in ice or whatever are going too fast. So there's been accidents happening there too. And if you have traffic, trucks going in and out all day, off and on, I mean, it's just adding to the road being not that safe. You know, and I understand people saying how great this company is and so forth, but they're not living next to this. And if they were living next to this, they'd be in here saying, please don't support this, as I don't. Thank you.
Other comments, Mr. Eisner, do you have any?
I appreciate all the comments and people coming forward and sharing their views. I took the time, I think it was yesterday, to go up and drive down Fenton Mill Road myself. I had not been down there in a long time. It's an interesting road. I paid close attention to what I saw along the way while I was looking for this particular spot, and I found it. Of course, I knew right where the curve was going to be, and I pulled into the entrance to I guess it's a tree farm right across the street, and turned my car around and sat there and looked at the site for a little while and just took a real good close look at what I was seeing. First of all, I was struck by how small the site was. And, you know, I know that that's a pretty dilapidated building. I think the plan is to tear it down and or at least partially tear it down and completely restore it. But, and I will give the applicant credit for the willingness to listen to some of the concerns of the neighbors and deal with some changes made to the proffers that I think show at least some good faith to try to deal with some screening and some fencing and a few things like that. I'm not questioning that the company is not a quality business or that it doesn't contribute significantly to James City County. That's not the question. What struck me was the fact that this is a piece of property that's very small. It sits right up on the road, and it's surrounded by residential structures. And I came down Fenton Mill, and I looked, and I saw lots of entrances for residential structures, and in only one instance did I see, and I think that may be the David Nice property, but where I could tell that there was a business somewhere back in there, but you couldn't see it from the road. It was completely off and screened. Doesn't mean it doesn't contribute concerns that people have addressed here tonight, but it was not in the forefront. And I think I go back to what Ms. Larson said this evening. The primary use of the land out there in the rural lands is for rural agricultural and residential. We do allow some businesses, but we usually try to make sure that those businesses are very well screened and separated and do not dominate. And I think what struck me was the fact that this piece of property, that business is going to dominate. And I don't think there's any question in my mind that it would have probably have an adverse effect on the property values of the people living around it. I know it has as they've expressed it, it has an impact on what they perceived that they were getting when they bought into that community a long time ago. So I'm sort of torn. I got to go back to the comprehensive plan, and I'm not convinced that this utilization of this business, where it is so such close proximity, relatively unscreened from other residences and from the road, is really what we want to portray in our rural lands. So those are the things that I've wrestled with, and I'll have to figure out how I'm going to come out and decide on it. But I needed to make sure I let people know that those were the things that were bothering me, that were of concern to me.
Wainwright, did you have something?
I did. So I also visited the property, and I will say it was a much different experience seeing it on the map versus seeing it in person, and how very intimate these properties are situated. It was originally a single family property that was subdivided years ago, but it is, I mean, it's like your next door neighbor. You could toss an apple from one building to the other. And I think probably I'm the only board member who actually lives in A1 agricultural, and I have an acre in a great small neighborhood, and I have to think about how I would feel if the lot across the street from my property that is currently woods was turned into a business that would have maybe not dump trucks, maybe not an 18-wheeler, but if you're having this equipment there, you're going to have large trucks and trailers to pull them in and out to job sites. And again, to echo what Mr. Eisenhower said, is, and I think Ms. Knoll too, has nothing to do with how the business owners run their business. That's definitely a bonus. We love to support small businesses in the county, but it's all about location, and it's all about the size of this lot. It is a very, very small lot to have construction vehicles come. I have several friends that are contractors, and some of them have home businesses, but they have 3, 5, 8 or more acres. And the work vehicles, the equipment is out of sight. It is not on busy 55-mile-an-hour roads there. Also have a concern just with all the equipment coming and going with families living. Very close proximity. So the 2 mobile homes and the contractor's office together are on 2 acres. And then there's the mobile home on the other side that's an acre, and I believe Ms. Bowley's home is under an acre. So, you know, I'm glad that we have great businesses like this in the county, but I just have great concerns about this being the right location.
Yeah, I don't think I could add anything to what anybody said. I mean, it's, there's no doubt that it's a very well-run business. People cared enough to come out here and advocate for your business. People that I highly respect, like Victoria, and what she does for her living. But going out and seeing the impact on the neighborhood, there's just no doubt that there will be an impact on the neighborhood, no matter how great of a business that it is. And they're living there. And, you know, if there were more acreage, there was more buffering, there were several things, it might be a bit an easier decision, or a harder decision, I should say. But for me, and frankly, I don't, you know, I'm not trying to put planning through the ringer, but I didn't understand when I first read the staff report about how it worked, because I didn't see it. And I want to say thank you to Mr. Everson, because I was also surprised that it flew through the PC. It's my understanding that you went out and visited the site, and I appreciate that, because I do think sometimes you have to do that. Can't happen all the time, but I do think that that's important. And I appreciate both sides that have come out and spoken in this tonight, especially the people that live there and will be most impacted. So, thank you.
This is a really difficult case because on the one hand, we have gotten some sterling recommendations from people who've worked with this company and with the folks who own the company. I think that you can't help but come away with the notion that this is a well-run company that is ambitious in the best sense, trying to grow effectively and to be successful. On the other hand, you have the impact on this small community of residents along a primarily residential road, and a road that's quite narrow and twisty. Like other members, I visited the site and talked with both the applicant and Ms. Bowley about their notions of the property and how it might be improved and what the challenges still might be and so forth. I think when I come to a final conclusion on it, I was very surprised today to get a list of amendments to the proposal to the SUP that effectively addressed many of the complaints that came from the residents. But to me, it also said this is an indication that in trying to grow this business, this isn't the right place to do it. If you had to sacrifice a plan to put a showroom there, if you had to condition the ability to move equipment in and out, if you had to restrict the hours more than you had originally planned, it's basically saying, yeah, we're going to shoehorn this in because of the complaints that we're getting, but it would probably be much better for the company to do this at a site that would allow them to really be more prosperous and successful. I have great sympathy for the investment that they've already made into this particular property, but I also recognize that even in trying to be good neighbors, if the business were to be located there, I don't think it's ever going to get to the point where people are accepting of this change in what they see as the character of the neighborhood. So I will unfortunately not be able to support this application. Any other comments or discussion?
I'd like to move that we deny 25 Suffolk
Okay, we do have
007.
we have a motion to
Fenton,
deny the application.
Motion to deny.
Mr. Stevens, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. Now move on to our next SUP public hearing, which is SUP 250013, 5255 Riverview Road, Family Subdivision. Mr. Allison, back on duty again.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Mr. Chase Grogg of Land Tech Resources Incorporated has applied on behalf of Ms. Hazel Richardson for a family subdivision to create one new parcel of 3.01 acres with one remainder parcel of 36.76 acres inside of the Croker Agricultural and Forestal District. This is located at 5255 Riverview Road, zoned A1 General Agricultural, designated rural lands on the comprehensive plan and located outside of the primary service area. The new parcel will be owned by Mr. Jacob Seacrest, grandchild of Ms. Hazel Richardson, in accordance with the Family Subdivision Ordinance. An SUP is required for this application because the new parcel is less than the by right minimum lot size in the A1 General Agricultural District. Staff has reviewed the preliminary plat and found the proposal can meet ordinance requirements. The property is located outside of the primary service area and will require private well and septic systems. The Virginia Department of Health has confirmed that the soils can adequately accommodate these systems. Should this application be approved, the applicant will need to complete the subdivision plat process, and a family subdivision affidavit and draft family subdivision agreement have already been received by from the applicant. The parcel is currently within the Croker Agricultural and Forestal District and per the adopted Croker AFD ordinance, the parcel may remain in that Croker district with an approved SUP for a family subdivision. As for the comprehensive plan, the property is designated rural lands. Recommended uses for rural lands include traditional agricultural and forestal activities, residences associated with agricultural and forestal activities, and certain uses which require very low intensity settings located in a manner that minimizes effects on agricultural and forestal activities. Recommended density is 1 unit per 20 acres. This proposal has a gross density of approximately 1 unit per 19.89 acres, which exceeds the recommended density. However, staff finds that the difference between the proposed gross density and recommended density is negligible, and that this family subdivision is not intensive enough to negatively impact the rural character of the street and the area. Staff also finds that this proposal is in conformance with the ordinance requirements for family subdivisions in the A1 General Agricultural Zoning District. Staff finds that the proposed family subdivision is compatible with the surrounding development and consistent with the intent of the 2045 Comprehensive Plan. Staff recommends the Board of Supervisors approve this application, subject to the attached conditions. Thank you very much, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. The applicant is also available.
Thank you, Mr. Albiston. Anybody have any questions for staff? Okay, you take a seat. And there is no planning commission action in this particular case. Now, we do have, let me go ahead and open the public hearing. And we have Chase Grog, okay. Grog is your first name?
No, Grog's last name.
Oh, okay, all right, thanks, Chase. Mr. Grog?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Chase Grog with Land Tech Resources, 205 Bullifonts Boulevard, Suite E, Williamsburg, Virginia. Simple family subdivision, 3-acre lot up in the front, pretty much in the field for its entirety. Grandmother to a grandson who wanted to be here this evening, but unfortunately came down with the flu. And there's a trailer in the front that currently is a brother living in there. So just simple family subdivision. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
You have any questions?
Yeah, I was just sort of curious if in looking at the plat there, I'm a little confused. So the existing house is the one right up on the very front, that trailer?
It's an existing trailer, correct.
And where is has the location of the subdivided parcel been determined yet, or?
Yeah, it's that right there, this outline, if you look at your screen, that bold line is the new
That whole area right there?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So, and that's your proposed drain field and
Yep, existing
Proposed
drain
well
field.
right there for,
with-
okay.
Yep,
And access to that would be through that 15-foot ingress egress easement?
correct,
Okay.
which will get, it's gonna get a little bit bigger, 15
Okay.
short of the ordinance requirement, but that will be a revised.
Okay, I was just, my glasses weren't quite sharp enough to read all that kind of stuff, so I wanted to make sure exactly where it was. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's the only public comment we have. I'll close the public hearing and ask for the board's discussion or a motion.
Move the motion for approval.
Okay, motion for approval of the family subdivision. Mr. Stevens, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, now move to SUP 250015, 4900 Stadium Road and 4620 Opportunity Way, General Services Headquarters. And we have Sarah Probst.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Andrew McKinley of Via Design has applied for a special use permit on behalf of James City County for the development of an approximately 60,500 square foot general services headquarters. A special use permit is required in all zoning districts for a governmental institution or office building exceeding 30,000 square feet of floor area. The General Services Headquarters will provide office space, a large meeting room, workshop space, and equipment storage for General Services Administration, capital projects, environmental sustainability, facilities, grounds, and solid waste divisions. The complex will be primarily located on 4900 Stadium Road, with some clearing and grading occurring on 4620 Opportunity Way. The property is zoned public land and is in future land use federal, state, or county land. The site will be accessed from Stadium Road via 2 entrances, one in line with War Hill High School's entrance and one at the Virginia Dominion Power easement. General Services employees have a staggered schedule, which should decrease traffic conflicts with the high school. However, a turn lane evaluation is required by condition number 4 prior to site plan approval. The traffic analysis evaluated the intersections with War Hill Trail and Long Hill Road to the south, Centerville Road and Opportunity Way to the north, Centerville Road and Route 60, as well as east and westbound ramps from Route 60 onto Route 199. The intersection at Long Hill Road and War Hill Trail is currently unsignalized, but planned improvements, including a traffic signal lengthening the southbound right turn lane to accommodate queuing traffic, and sidewalk and crosswalk additions leading to improved bus stops, will result in an overall level of service B for the intersection. No other traffic improvements are recommended or proposed. Condition 2 requires that the building comply with the county's sustainable building policy by being designed to meet LEED Silver requirements and energy efficiency criteria. The final architectural design will be approved by the Director of Planning per the county's character design guidelines. The general service site's stormwater quantity will be managed through a connection to the War Hill Sports Complex stormwater system. Water quality for the proposed development will be managed through on-site BMPs. At the site plan review phase, the stormwater plan will be required to meet all county stormwater management requirements. Conditions 8, 9, 10, and 11 are proposed to ensure that additional stormwater measures are met that are not specifically required by the county's codes. Condition number 11 was developed by staff and the applicant based on Planning Commission's direction. At the December 3rd, 2025 Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission recommended approval of this request with conditions with a vote of 6-0. Staff finds this proposal to be compatible with surrounding development and consistent with the comprehensive plan and zoning ordinance. Staff recommends that the board approve this request with the proposed conditions. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and the applicant is also available.
Questions?
I had a question about the stoplight proposed. The way that I read it is that would be required.
That is already a planned improvement. That's something that's that the county has been working toward. This was part of a comprehensive study along Hill. A need was identified and then reaffirmed over the last 8 years approximately, with several amendments to War Hill Sports Complex. So the light will be basically prioritized through traffic, but it will assist when there are larger events leaving War Hill Sports Complex.
My reason I questioned is because as I was reading the chart, it seems to improve. We all know that's a hard left to make there on Long Hill Road, but it slows down almost every other traffic pattern along that intersection. And this seems to be kind of in the middle, but a little bit closer to where there's already a light on Centerville Road.
I can only speak to what has been identified and what was determined to be required. Paul may be able to speak more directly to why this is required.
No, that's kind of some of the traffic history with the park. Agree that it is in somewhat of a close proximity to the other signals on Long Hill Road. It does not need any special design exception criteria from VDOT, and VDOT has not raised that proximity as a concern. When we did the last 2 updates to the War Hill Sports Complex master plan as a whole, those traffic studies at the time had determined that with everything that was on the sports complex as it currently exists, if there was anything more that would substantively add to that traffic, it would cause that intersection to fail. And so as part of this SUP, we did renew that traffic study because, again, general services folks, they're going to come and go from all over the county. Sometimes they're going to go Opportunity Way to head west and north. A lot of times they're going to come out Long Hill to try to get back over to Tuning Road or some other of the points south. And so given that that would be a definite traffic split and would definitely add regular recurring and even potentially, especially AM peak hour trips to that intersection, we went ahead and built that into the project schedule. Because at some point that was going to be needed anyway, and now knowing the timelines and knowing that this new facility is going to come online, we went ahead and programmed that in.
That part of the SUP to require the light, because that's how it read.
Yes, SUPs are traditionally conditioned upon mitigating land use impacts, and one of those is mitigating the transportation impacts of this new facility. So we have set it up that way, yes, ma'am.
Other questions?
I was going to maybe ask a question, more of an observation, and maybe you could expand on it. In looking at the level of service, the one right there at Long Hill Gate and War Hill Trail, and it looked like that the 2040 no build and the 2040 build without the traffic light really was almost identical. There's maybe one or two little numbers that changed. Same thing with the 2046 no build and build. That it's really the build with the signal that really improves the traffic flow. So I think it's something that was clearly in the wings, needed to be done, and this is, I guess, just the triggering mechanism to make sure that it does get accomplished. I guess the question I had with it is, does this, I don't recall right offhand, but I think there were improvements to the Stadium Road that connected on through there that made this sort of more of a through process than it has been in the past. Is that done in conjunction with the light project, or is that separate?
That'll be a completely separate project. As you know, there are opportunities to connect through already, separate and apart from whatever master plan improvements may be envisioned to enhance that connectivity. That connection's been in place for quite some time, and I think has been used pretty frequently, for sure. Don't know that road was open all the time when we did the sports complex SUP renewal 2 times ago, but I do seem to recall that when we did the last 2 SUP amendments for the park and the renewals, we've heard from residents of Mallard Hill and Long Hill Gate quite a bit about need for improvements. And it is an intersection improvement. There's a sort of a non-conforming driveway situation in there. We do want to add some sidewalk connectivity and crosswalks, and so there'll be some other general improvements in there as well.
Will this make it easier for JCSA vehicles to access the headquarters site from either direction now?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay.
Especially leaving.
Well, and that will,
Again, those will
I
be
think
big.
that will probably help take a lot of the burden off of the Centerville road that would otherwise normally be coming maybe out of that process if we didn't have the second ability to.
It could, and these vehicles leaving too, with I think a fair degree of regularity are going to be the oversized vehicles towing long trailers. So it's going to take them longer than my car would be leaving practice at night. So,
Other questions? Not, then the Planning Commission report?
We had a number of questions were raised. One of them was, why wasn't this facility combined with the government center? And general services operations have a large footprint. One commissioner requested that staff would commit to reducing the water treatment by using the board's approved special stormwater criteria that provides for 25% additional water quality treatment. That was, I would say, important to the commission. And the commission voted 6-0 that is consistent with the comprehensive plan and 6-0 in favor of the SUP. And that was about it.
Questions for Mr. Everson? Thank you. So I'll open the public hearing, and Mr. Andrew McKinley.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Thank you for having me this evening. My name is Andrew McKinley. I'm with Via Design Architects. We're based out of Norfolk, Virginia, 319 East Plume Street in Norfolk, 23150. I'm here with a couple of my colleagues, Mr. Lawrence Schwartz, and our civil engineer, Mr. Dan Ruby. If you got specific questions on stormwater, Mr. Ruby will help me through that. I don't speak stormwater. I'm also here with Mr. Sean Gordon and Ms. Grace Boone of General Services. To put it simply, the folks at General Services are the ones who take care of all your facilities and all your grounds throughout the county. They keep you warm in the winter, they keep you cool in the summer, help you with the light bulbs, they cut all your grass, right? They cover a lot of ground, and I mean that quite literally. This project, I think the question was answered pretty clearly during Planning Commission, but this is not combined with the Government Center due to just the types of activities that these folks perform. A lot of the spaces that we'll be providing are shop spaces. They're assembling furniture, working on HVAC equipment, sharpening lawnmower blades, things like that. So it would certainly not be appropriate adjacent to a lot of public folks coming and going. This will be the first time that these guys are housed together under one roof. They're currently at the Tuning Road site, or most of them are, which is also shared with the James City Service Authority. They're tight on space. They're in some very, very old buildings. Like many of my clients, they make the best do with what they have, but they have kind of grown themselves a little bit out of the spaces that are available there on that site, both within the internal spaces where they're often jockeying for meeting space, but also where they park their vehicles with all their equipment housed on it. A lot of stuff, unfortunately, doesn't have shelter. So the goal, major goal of this project is to provide them with the spaces that they need now, but also in order to address your, your space needs assessment that was originally generated in 2020 and then was updated again in 2024, which basically plans for staff members out to the year of 2043. My understanding is that there was design fees approved in fiscal year 2023 and initial construction in 2024. Some other benefits of this project will be that there will be a training room that's finally large enough to handle General Services and all of its staff at one time for any large meetings or staff recognition events. There will also be some space for emergency sheltering within this building to actually handle things like tornado force winds. And then I believe that Ms. Prop's already covered the fact that we'll be pursuing LEED Silver certification. Happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions for the applicant? I think I would, well, maybe I'll ask later if staff and maybe call on your folks at that time as well.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. And Chris Henderson.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Chris Henderson, 101 Keystone. All right. Poster child for government not doing what it requires of the private sector with respect to governmental approvals. If I were to bring forward a proposal to build a 65,000 square foot building, I'd be required to have in advance an environmental assessment, an archaeological phase 1 or phase 2, depending upon what's there. I'd be required to do an endangered species study. I'd be required to proffer a site plan. I would be required to proffer a specific design or design guidelines. Where are those? I see a picture of a building, but what exactly are you voting on? That's the thing I don't get. I would think that a comprehensive staff report would include a finished site plan, an engineered site plan that it shows you exactly what's going to occur. That property backs up to residential property. Okay, well, what are the buffers that protect those properties? You turned down an application for a business because there wasn't sufficient protection for them. But yet, you're prepared to approve a county project that's, 200 times larger with larger equipment. Well, what do the neighbors have to say about that? And why aren't they here? And what have we done to talk to them? And what are you gonna do when all that equipment gets out there on Centerville Road and it can't get through Richmond Road? Because we got a bottleneck and that intersection is failing. I just think that this is a half-baked cake and that we need to go back and really understand the land use, what staff is specifically proposing. Then let's figure out what it's gonna cost and whether or not we can afford it before we go through the brain damage of approving an SUP for a half-baked cake. I think the cart is way before the horse on this one. I've got grave concerns about cost. We're spending $250 million on a new government center, and this is probably another, I don't know, $30, $40 million by the time you get done. Where's the money coming from? That's what I want to know. What tree are we going to plant that's going to grow this new money, and where's the goose laying the golden egg? Okay. You've got enormous traffic problems on Long Hill Road right now. 20 years ago, when I took my son to play baseball at YBL, couldn't get in and out of Long Hill Road because of traffic on event days. Sometimes it would take an hour to get out there. I mean, we got to solve that problem regardless of whether or not we build this facility or not. But, you know, I would argue that that's not the proper location for the facility. Cardinal Ridge has proffered a 20-acre site right across the street from the government center, more centrally located. Maybe that's a better opportunity for it. Or maybe we figure out a way to use our existing space, because we just spent a bunch of money a few years ago building JCSA, a new building. I think it was $14 million. And now I got an architect telling me that it's antiquated and the complex over there is no good. Well, how can that be? How can that be? It just doesn't pass the sniff test. So this may be a situation where we need to make do, okay? Life is about choices. You're empowered to make choices. I would say that as James City County taxpayers are gonna have to make do with less, our James City County government needs to do the same. And we need to be looking at this through a lens of limited government and what are the important things to the citizens. Thank you.
All right, I'll close the public hearing and ask for any discussion. Any questions, any comments? Let me just start by asking if the applicant would mind and maybe staff be ready to join in as well. Just talk a little bit about the degree to which you were expected to meet this expectations of any private enterprise that might have come in to propose a similar kind of development.
If you don't mind, help me through the question here. What do you?
I'm trying to understand if as was suggested, that we are not expecting the proposal here to meet the same standards as a proposal coming from another source. Maybe I'll ask staff to respond to that.
This application does meet all of the criteria of our SUP applications. They submitted all of the documents that are required. We did review them.
Can you talk to us a little bit, and maybe your technical folks can address this, about the stormwater issue? Because that was something that a member of the Planning Commission raised about the question of special stormwater criteria being added above the requirements.
Good evening, Dan Ruby, Timmons Group. Yeah, so we will meet the special stormwater criteria required for the project. We have the benefit of a downstream pond that has a lot of excess capacity in it, which is a great benefit to this project to be able to make that a relatively painless activity. We didn't necessarily pick the exact criteria that we wanted to use so that we're not backing ourselves into a corner. That's something that we'd really be much more effective making those decisions along the way in the site plan process.
And if I could ask staff to weigh in on the question of whether or not we would have expected that of a private developer, not the county, to specify in advance what those criteria would be, what those additions would be.
Certainly. Typically, the special stormwater criteria are specifically chosen. They're required to provide a certain number of them, and then they're chosen once the site plan is in progress, because typically they are required to do additional research and studies prior to determining which special stormwater criteria are appropriate for that site.
But with that said, while for private development, we allow those choices and options to be chosen at site plan stage, really to address the concerns of the Planning Commission, and thanks in large part to the heavy lift by General Services and the Civil Engineering team, to specifically address the concerns addressed by the Planning Commission and by one of the Planning Commission members. They did do, following right after the Planning Commission meeting, did a really quick, intensive, as high level as you can do with, given the conceptual nature of the master plan, a detailed analysis of that stormwater. And as noted in the staff report, to reflect the spirit of the commission, we did go ahead and try to reflect a specific SSC measure as part of the conditions. That's reflected in your updated condition number 11. There's a page and a half of lots of stormwater details to sort of supplement the rationale and the modeling that was used. Typically for the development sector, we don't like to specify those, because when you get into the engineered level of the site plan or the construction plans, if something doesn't work out for whatever reason, under the menu approach of the options and the policy that the board adopted, you're able to pick another option and still meet those requirements. The more things are specified in an SUP condition, if something doesn't work out, you've got to come all the way back through the public hearing process to amend that condition. But with that said, to their credit, to address those concerns, General Services did run those numbers and did agree to condition number 11 to specifically address that particular SSC measure in advance.
And so, Mr. Hall, you've seen a lot of these issues come before. My sense is that the county does expect to meet the standards or exceed the standards of proposals from private developers. Is that your experience?
Every bit.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
I don't know who's best to answer this question, but when was the General Services building, if you can call it a building, put on Tuning Road? And was it meant to be the headquarter, or was it built?
I started here in 1986, so those facilities were there. So I'm going to say well over 40 years ago. So the Service Authority does have a new facility, General Services, and several facilities. So just to be clear that this is a county facility, not a JCSA facility. So we've been in those buildings for well over 40 years. They've been modified several times. So
Were they built to, I thought it was my understanding that they were really not built to be the permanent.
no, well, they're Butler buildings, metal buildings. So usually the lifespan of them could be 30 years or so. But with modifications, additions, we've experienced so many roof leaks in our facility shop, and you all have toured the site, so you all know what restrictions we have on parking and all the other issues that we currently are running into.
Yes, I'm not allowed to play the music for which I equate those buildings any longer. So it sounds as though we have made do for quite some time, and it is time to address a issue that must be addressed. So, thank you.
Any other questions, concerns, issues you'd like to raise?
Just because I'm coming in the middle of this process, I looked at the site plan and it looks like to address the concern with the local neighborhoods, there's 100-foot buffer between the construction and where it bumps up against those couple of neighborhoods.
Yes, there is this fairly extensive buffer, and there's actually RPA sort of separating those areas from the neighborhoods, so they wouldn't be able to develop some of that.
And where are we on cost? Do we have a projected? Has there been an estimate? Where are we in that?
I can't speak to that, but the
Okay.
applicant may be able to.
Currently in cost negotiations, so it would be, at this time, not in the best interest of the county to reveal the negotiations.
Okay. Any other comments, questions, discussions, motion?
May I please move the motion for the the resolution for the motion for the SUP?
A motion to approve the SUP. Mr. Stevens, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll? Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. That concludes our public hearings. We have no board considerations this evening, so we will move now to board requests and directives. Anybody have anything they'd like to mention?
Start with Ms. Wayne.
We'll start with Ms. Wainwright. This is traditionally an opportunity for you to comment on any issues, community events, or others that you may have experienced, proposals or requests you would want to make to the county administrator and so forth.
So first, I just want to say thank you to all of the other board members. I've had the most warm welcome that I could have imagined. Everybody reached out to me. Everybody met with me one-on-one. And that goes the same with staff, just getting to meet all the different department heads and getting to participate. I was very grateful to be invited to the staff Christmas party and the JCSA Christmas party and get to be a part of those. Everybody has constantly checked in with me and what questions do you have, and I keep saying I'm sure I'll have more and more as time goes on, but could not have asked for a more warm welcome, and I'm looking forward to just continuing to serve in this new capacity and some exciting things coming down the road with investments in our county and keeping it good and making it even better.
Very much.
Well, I was just with all of you serving food for the Christmas party and the JCSA Christmas party, and that was basically what we did last month, I mean, after the first meeting. So that was fun, and I look forward to that every year. And it's always great to meet with everybody who works here and say hi and thank you. So I appreciated that.
Since the Christmas parties, I've had one thing, and I had an opportunity to go out to the Jamestown Beach Campground and participate in a sign unveiling ceremony for the Lafayette Trail, which was put on as part of the James City County, Virginia 250 celebration, one of our first ones this year. And it was fortunate. The weather cleared very nicely. Supervisor Larson came out with me, and we had the deputy consul from the French Embassy in Washington who drove down 95 with his family in driving rain to be there, so we really appreciated their presence. But it was a very, very good ceremony, a lot of the history, talking about the in 1824 when 1825 Lafayette's farewell tour, and this was one of the stops out at the Jamestown campground area where he caught the ferry boat down to Norfolk, and so part of our history, and we'll have several more of these, I understand, coming forward in the future, and I'm looking forward to them. Thank you.
No, I just wanted to say what an incredible event that was. I really didn't know what to expect when I saw it on Friday Notes, and but wanted to go out. It was in my district, and learned so much. For instance, that Lafayette gave his fortune to our country for our war effort. And then he was paid back by Congress many years later, but he really, he put his money where his mouth was, and he not only stood with us and fought with us, but also helped fund that. So, but it was, and our Parks and Rec department did a tremendous job on a Saturday afternoon, setting it up, organizing it. Then when I was walking to my car, I looked back and they were putting all the chairs up and doing all the, the people that work for the county do a lot all the time. It's things you don't always see. But it was just a really interesting event. I hope people will really take advantage of the things that are happening in our area for the 250th commemoration. We're going to be doing something in April. The county will have, is it 2 days of music and drone shows and things like that out at the same site. But there are things happening all over the greater Williamsburg area, and it's a real opportunity to connect again with history. And I just hope people will really come out and take advantage of it. It's an incredible year. And I said to the the daughter of the people that had come down from DC, her mom said, "Well, she's been here before." I said, "Let me guess, 4th grade." And yes, it had been a 4th grade field trip. And so my tagline this year is, if you were here in 4th grade, it's time to come back. And so I'm urging all of you, if you have family and friends that have been here in 4th grade, please ask them to come back, because there is no better place to celebrate, in my opinion, the 250th commemoration than in the greater Williamsburg, James City County, York County. I mean, it's just, and this will be going on until 2031, where we will celebrate the Yorktown. And I have to confess, I have my grandparents lived on Morehouse Road right down from the battlefields. And so Yorktown is very special to me. And I have a big picture in my dining room of George Washington on his horse, and it says, "Remember Yorktown." And my youngest daughter's boyfriend was here for Thanksgiving. He looked up, he said, "What's there to remember about Yorktown?"
Oh, no.
I was devastated. Didn't you study American history? So there's a lot between now and then. Of course, now he knows. You might imagine the next hour was talked about the American Revolution. But it's just, I really hope people will take advantage, do all of the things that are going to be available in this area. So I did have a chance to sit down with Delegate-elect Downey and Delegate-elect Anderson and talk about tourism in our area. And then Mr. Stevens, Chair McGlennon, myself attended the legislative, legislative forum that the chamber held. And I thought it was just a really well done forum. And I was really glad to see the cohesive working together from all of the people that are going to be representing us, because this is a big change in Richmond this year. And they fully admitted there are some things they don't agree on, but there's others that they want to work together on for this area. And so it was just, I thought it was well done. And I was really, I left there with, okay, I think it's going to be okay. And so there's other things going on, but I've taken too much time already.
Never too much time.
Thank you.
For talking about great things like that. Let me first start off by welcoming Supervisor Wainwright to the board, and to say that we really, I think every one of us wanted very much to extend an open arm to say we're looking forward to working with you and to retaining and building on the strong collaborative sense that we've had that says that we can leave politics at the door when we come into these meetings and talk about what's best for the community regardless. We won't always agree on the issues that come up before us, but we will always be trying to recognize that our colleagues are working for the betterment of the county and its citizens. And so we're glad to have you here. I hope everyone will excuse me as I dust off some of the cobwebs of not having been in the chair for a while, and I'll try to get better. But Jim Eisenhower is a tough act to follow because he had a very eventful and successful year chairing the board last year. So I want to recognize the high standard that he set, and to say that I know we're going to continue to have tough challenges and issues in this coming year, and I'm sure that we're going to work closely together to make sure that we meet the expectations of our community and do so in a responsible way, as we have been trying to do over the years. As Supervisor Larson said, we did attend the forum for the legislators as they head off to Richmond tomorrow. And it was striking the degree to which, even again, though the legislators recognize that they may have different opinions about some public policy issues, that they certainly wanted to work together on issues in which the community would benefit from their collaboration. And so I want to thank the legislators for that, and we will be traveling to Richmond in early February in order to participate in Local Government Day, and look forward to hopefully hearing from the governor, current governor-elect, who will be the governor at those sessions in Richmond. I also wanted to draw attention to an event that I attended, which I just found to be really enjoyable and a wonderful addition to the holiday period in James City County, and that was the paper lantern display, the Chinese paper lantern display at Jamestown Settlement. Here was a time of year in which people are more focused on the holidays and not so much on touring for history, and the folks at Jamestown Yorktown Foundation figured out a way to provide an attraction that sort of provided something different in recognition of Chinese culture and tradition and mythology in a very, very entertaining and attractive way, especially in the evenings when all of the lanterns were lit, and you could walk around for a tour which would take about 45 minutes to an hour at the settlement, and you would see literally thousands of those paper lanterns illuminated for your walk. And then you could pop into a tent where Chinese acrobats and Chinese food and goods were being sold as well. A lot of folks, I think, pass through those gates that wouldn't normally visit the Jamestown settlement during the holiday season. So really pleased to see that. I'm really excited about the prospects that we will see this coming year, and know that it is going to be a year where we ought to be viewing our challenges as opportunities as well, to think new thoughts about how to approach questions, and to recognize that we are benefiting tremendously from the great staff and leadership that the county's professional administration is providing us. And so looking forward to that as we move ahead too, and hopefully we'll have some exciting announcements over the course of the next several weeks that will give citizens a good sense of how attractive James City County is to a lot of businesses and residents. Frankly, I don't share the notion that we are going to be bleeding population to our neighboring communities. I think we recognize that there are serious challenges with an accelerated rate of growth that causes us concern. But we are a healthy, growing community that citizens and potential residents very much admire and look to. And the cost of living is not a James City County issue. The affordability of housing, the cost of groceries, and the like are a national phenomenon, and we need to do something to get those under control, but we're not going to be an island that's able to do it all by ourselves in that regard. So with those scattered comments, I'm going to ask for the report to the county administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple items I'd like to share this evening. First, if residents still have Christmas trees up and are looking for a place to take them, we do accept them at our convenience centers free of charge through the end of January. We ask that all the ornaments, decorations, and all of those kinds of things be removed, but you can drop off your Christmas tree at any of our 3 convenience centers until the end of January free of charge. So folks wondering where to go, that's a place. I also want to recognize our Clean County Commission as a co-sponsor of the Virginia Peninsula Clean Business Forum. We look for residents to nominate a business for outstanding environmental stewardship and beautification efforts, and we award that award once per quarter. Applications are available on our website, and if you search City County Clean County Business Awards, you will find the application, and you can nominate your business that you think is doing an outstanding job in those areas. And then finally, I wanted to mention that Kongsberg had announced their intention to build their Naval Strike Missile and Joint Strike Missile factory in the fall of 2024. So we have been looking for the site, and they have worked through that. And I just want to just make mention they will hold a groundbreaking this Friday. So again, more news to come on that this week, but really exciting to have this world-class business here, choosing James City County for a lot of reasons, and really excited they're finally able to break ground on a facility. And so we'll have them up and running in the near term. So that's all I have, sir.
Thank you very much. And
Can we take a 5-minute recess before we go into
sure,
closed session?
Sure. I'll declare a recess.
Thank
Be
you.
back in 5 minutes. call us back into open session and ask for a motion for consideration of a personnel matter, the appointment of individuals to county boards and/or commissions pursuant to Section 2.23711 of the Code of Virginia, specifically A, citizens' terms expiring in 2026, B, Planning Commission appointments, C, Social Service Advisory Board appointment, and would entertain that motion.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion to go into closed session.
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, now in closed session. to order and look for a motion to certify.
I move to certify that we only spoke about those things we said we'd speak about.
Mr. Stevens, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Wainwright?
Here.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Yes, I would like,
Aye, sorry.
Aye.
I would like to make the following recommendation of Deborah Nagley to the Social Services Advisory Board to fill an unexpired term, which will expire on September 24th, 2028.
Okay, with motion,
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Anything else for the good of the order? If not, I would look for a motion to adjourn until 1 p.m. on January 27th, 2026 for the business meeting.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion.
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
We are adjourned.